Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing, in this case, former players. I'm one of your hosts, Derek Kubicek, and today we are going back in time to revisit the pre-merge of Season 22 of Survivor, Redemption Island. I'm joined today in person by two beautiful co-hosts, and we'll start with the visitor, Josh.
Well, I'm a visitor, but I'm a visitor in person. It's good to be back.
Absolutely. And without any further ado, I bring you the one, the only Ryan Stacy!
That was an intro I deserved.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Ryan. I'm your resident Survivor super fan. I know everything there is to know about Survivor, and boy, oh boy, are we going to have things to say today.
Yeah, for those of you who are new to the Rewind, and we've actually grown in our subscriber count here in this offseason, so thank you everyone. If you are new here, in these Rewind series, we all have a very particular role that we play. Me, Derek, am your newcomer. I did not see this season beforehand, and I'm watching it for the first time, and I can experience it, be your friend who's watching it for the first time with you. So a lot of these reactions and these notes that I've taken down are me observing this in real time. Before we get into it, I will disclose some spoilers, but we're not to that section yet. Josh, what's your role?
Yeah, I watched this season. I marked it down February 2020. So basically right before the pandemic time started.
I think we can blame the pandemic on the season of Survivor.
On Redemption Island. You know what? That makes sense to me.
I think it seems likely.
It lines up with Josh's viewing of Redemption Island. It was like, we have to stop everyone from seeing this.
This is back when me and Ryan actually lived together. And I was watching this season, and it was when we were both just stuck in the apartment for just days and weeks on end. So he was able to get my reaction live while I was watching this. So he knows my feelings on this.
You're on the ground reporter.
Yeah, he did not watch it with me because he did not want to.
Because I don't hate myself that much.
But he checked in every once in a while.
And though he did not explicitly state it, his job is going to be hard, even though he's seen it so recently. He's the memorability consultant, and I gotta say, there's not much memorable here.
Yeah.
But this is just the pre-merge.
Yeah,
There's
you're
gonna be
right.
a lot of memorable stuff in the post-merge, Derek. So
Could be.
Hold on to your butts.
So the point of this podcast is there's 42 seasons of Survivor. That's a lot of Survivor. We're here to tell you which ones are must-watch Survivor if you don't have time to watch them all. So, gentlemen, the question of the hour. Is Survivor Redemption Island, just to the pre-merge, the first 7 episodes, is this must-watch Survivor? Derek!
Okay. I'm going to say no. I really don't think there's almost anything here new that you can't learn better from a different season. The one caveat is if you're watching these or considering to watch these sequentially, this is only the second time that we've had a true blue captain season, and the first time, we had one competent player, and this time we have two competent players in their own right, even if one of them has played the worst game of Survivor possible twice in a row.
I won't stand for this Bobby John slander.
He can outwork anybody. Stephanie is a little bit different of a situation back in Guatemala. She did make the finals, and she did lose to a new player, and probably one of our least memorable winners. It's not meant to insult Danny. It's just the game that she played was not one.
Danny is not memorable at all in the way she performed. Wow, Derek.
Yeah, right.
Ouch.
No, this is just my feeling. But that being said, I don't think there's anything that we can discuss here that we didn't probably discuss in that season. We'll get into more details with that. But this season is just so boring. I guess if there's anything else, it's the Redemption Island twist, which I think is hot garbage, though not quite as bad as Edge of Extinction.
Yeah.
If I had to have one, give me Redemption Island.
We'll get into that a little bit.
1,000 times out of 1,000, but yeah, I don't think this is must-watch.
Yeah. No. This is not must-watch Survivor. There are two reasons to watch this season, if any, and it is because it's a captain season and there's more that you can learn from that. The second one, that's a new twist, and it's Redemption Island.
However, one of the worst twists ever.
Yes, but they have done the twist multiple times,
yes.
So you can't completely rule it out from happening again, so you should learn from it. Now, there are other Redemption Island seasons out there that are better than this one.
All of them.
So I would recommend learning from those seasons instead of this one, because then you can just not watch this one.
Yeah, I'll spoil my future rankings. There's 3 Redemption Island seasons. This is the worst of the 3. And I think that is unanimously considered true. If anyone said otherwise, I would tell you they were crazy. I don't think I've literally... If you have that opinion, I would say let us know, but actually just keep it to yourself. That's kind of embarrassing.
I would love to hear a reason why. Like, if it's
Sure.
well thought out, maybe it just holds a special place in someone's heart for whatever reason, that's fine.
I've only seen the pre-merge, so, maybe wait for the next half of this to
Sure.
come out. Maybe it's my favorite season. Maybe it ends strong. But
Sure, let's go with that.
it'd be pretty hard.
Yeah. All right, so spoiler alert from here on out for sort of Season 22 Redemption Island for the pre-merge only. You got time on the post-merge. You don't know why you want to watch any more of this, but spoiler alert from here on out. 3, 2, 1. Russell Hantz gets voted out in the pre-merge.
Yeah, Ryan, did you ever actually say whether or not this is must-watch Survivor?
Oh, no, I didn't. So is this must-watch Survivor? Absolutely not. No way, shape, or form. This is good to put on the background if you want to catch some Z's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and say that you completed all of Survivor.
I think the first 3 episodes are mostly fine, and then...
I'd say the first 2.5 episodes.
I had fun with the premiere.
Premiere's pretty good. There's some fun moments, especially at the first Tribal Council, but this season sucks. This might have the worst cast in Survivor history. Like, you add them all together, the sum might be the lowest total. I think this might be last place overall of cast. It's not good. There's almost no one good on this season. Speaking of the cast, there's 16 new players and 2 returning players. So Josh and I, we always play a game every season. How many of these people can Josh remember? Josh actually did a pretty good job. He got 7 out of the 16 because we're not counting the 2 returning players, but he got 7 right.
I think we should count the 2 captains.
No.
I should get credit for remembering them.
So 7 out of 16, I would like to think that's just recency bias.
Yeah, half... I would say half are recency. Like, ask me again in 5 years, and I'd probably get 3 or 4.
That's generous. That's really generous. Let's let the cat out of the bag because we're into spoilers now. The 2 returning players are Boston Rob and Russell Hantz. Are we happy to see these guys back?
I'm happy to see Rob get another chance because he got screwed over by a really idiotic Tyson vote switch and was doing a very good job with his tribe beforehand. And one thing that I do like about his style of play, it is an entertaining one to watch from his perspective, and he's very, very good at articulating what his perspective is and what's going on in the game. Happy to see Rob back. Russell, absolutely not. I've seen him, I know him, everybody knows him, and I think putting them together on a season with people who know who they are was really dumb. They were kind of billed as these two greatest villains in Survivor history, or 2 of the greatest villains in Survivor history, whereas, in my opinion, Rob never really truly played like a villain. He played like a social cutthroat game and got a bitter jury and a bitter Lex and stuff like that. Russell is a true blood villain, and he's playing the worst way to ever win. He'll get to the end and then just draw dead every time. That's just the way he does it. People who know that game makes it very uninteresting to have him on any season ever going forward because he's a walking spoiler. He's not making it.
Yeah, I'd say if you listen to our Heroes vs. Villains podcast at the end of the season, we talked about people who we're glad to have back or if we're going to be excited to see them again. And the reasoning that I landed on with Russell, I think with support from Ryan here, is I'd like to see him back. We give it 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
5 to 10 years. And I think we actually landed on the perfect spot being Game Changers.
Yeah, Game Changers would have been the perfect spot.
And I'm actually going to replicate that with Rob here as well. Rob, to me, is a game changer. And I would like to see him play again, but this was a little bit too recent for me, just on the back of the other 2 seasons. So, yes, I want to see both these guys back. Not in this situation. I want them back I don't want them in a captain season, really.
I don't mind captain seasons, and on paper, having Rob back, yes. Having Russell back, it's too soon. On paper, it's more fine. It's just the execution turned out badly. I think it would have been fine if the other 16 players were up to snuff, and they're not.
And if this wasn't a Redemption Island season.
And if we didn't have Redemption Island, which is... Let's talk about that now.
Yes.
What a great segue.
Redemption Island, for those of you who don't know how it works, is if you get voted out, you get sent to Redemption Island, you wait there until a second person gets voted out, and then you have a duel, which is just a challenge. Losers out, winner stays alive, and eventually there will be a re-entry duel where the winner gets to come back into the game. Similar to Edge of Extinction, slightly better because there's a challenge basically every week instead of just one re-entry duel. So if you're gonna go the distance, you have to win like 6 in a row.
It's hard. It's unlikely.
It's not that you just hang out on the edge until there's one challenge to make it in.
Yeah.
And jury tampering, illegal jury tampering at that point.
Well, we'll
Allegedly.
we'll discuss that in the post-merge of this season.
Sure.
Because sorry, Derek, there's jury tampering.
Oh boy.
Or attempted anyway. Well, we'll get into that next in the post-merge. Because spoiler alert, Redemption Island it comes back on the post-merge as well. It's here to stay all season. So it is marginally better than the Edge of Extinction. It's also hot garbage. Let's burn it and get rid of it.
Sure.
But
Terrible twist.
come on, did you have to make it so obvious, Survivor producers? Russell and Rob are here, and all of a sudden, magically, you're not gone once you're voted out.
Yeah.
Like, I know they weren't trying to be clever. They weren't trying to get anything past anybody. It's the most obvious twist to extend camera time ever. I still hated it.
And not only extend camera time, but improve drastically these players' chances of winning the game because people are afraid of voting them out.
Yeah.
Yep. It's very obvious and transparent what they're doing, and sickening a little bit. So garbage. Get rid of it. The last thing I want to say before we jump into these episodes is something I've talked about over the course of the series is the different eras of Survivor. We had the first era of Survivor, which was obviously Borneo all the way up through like Guatemala.
Yeah, pre-Hidden Immunity Idol.
Yep.
In its most modern iteration.
Era 2 was like Panama to actually Nicaragua. Welcome to the third era of Survivor, where we're going to get real gimmicky with these twists. We are in the gimmick stage of Survivor.
We had a nice transition with the Medallion of Power, right? The legendary Medallion of Power. I get the joke now, everybody.
Yes. I think Nicaragua was a little bit transitionary season, but like the gameplay was a little bit regressive last season. So I think now this is the third era of Survivor, especially because they are told about Redemption Island from the get-go of this season, right when they start. So welcome to the third era. We're in high school now. Survivor High School.
Sure. Yeah, secondary. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I don't really know where third era is gonna end exactly. Like I know a rough area, but I'm interested to see like where your official mark in the sand is gonna be.
And that one, I'm gonna tell you when it's gonna be.
Tease it.
But it's gonna have it's gonna be more like Guatemala had that idol that popped up halfway through, and it was an early edition of the idol. I still put that in the first era Survivor.
It's a transition.
It's a transitionary season, kind of. Same thing's going to happen here. We're going to have a transitionary season, I think. But welcome to Era 3, everybody.
Here we are. The beginning of the Dark Ages. Even I know about the Survivor alleged Dark Ages. Maybe they'll be my favorite seasons.
We're in the Dark Ages.
No better time to just listen to the podcast and not watch the season.
Yes. We're going to have a few duds here.
What's funny is that this isn't even spoiled for me. I've been in the Survivorverse long enough to understand the general sentiment around the early 20 seasons.
You've only got 5 seasons left, so come on.
They're all in the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
All of them. They're not all bad.
I actually remember, and this is a personal note, when Ryan finally convinced me to start watching Survivor more regularly, he's like, you have no idea how spoiled you are. I've had like 5 bad years in a row, and you come in and you watch San Juan del Sur, and you're just having a great time.
Blood vs. Water was the first one.
Yeah.
Derek and I have impeccable timing.
Yeah.
Blood vs. Water was the first one on the other side of the Dark Ages.
Who knows, Ryan, maybe if you tried to get me into Survivor a year earlier, we wouldn't have this podcast. But
we wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
COVID wouldn't have happened.
You guys wouldn't be friends. It would have ruined your friendship.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You guys ready to jump into this thing?
Let's go.
Yep.
Before we go any further, we should introduce the cast.
Very quickly.
Total. But Rob and Russell are, the first 16 people are brought to the beach, and then they're introduced to their leaders of their tribe. Rob and Russell each draw a buff out of the bag to decide which tribe they're on. Conspiracy theories here about, they were told hey, one of these buffs is warm. Rob, you picked the warm buff. Stuff like that. Nothing confirmed, but there are some there's some conspiracy theories here about they knew which tribe they were going on.
Interesting.
But Can't get from that. We have the Ometepe tribe in orange. Obviously, Boston Rob is the captain here, returning from Survivor Marques's All-Stars and Heroes versus Villains, but our 8 new people. Andrea Boliki, a student from Wisconsin. Ashley Underwood, a nurse from Maine.
Who?
Yeah. Francesca Hoagie, an attorney from Washington, D.C. Grant Matos, an ex-NFL player from California. Christina Kell, a law student from California. Matt Elrod, a pre-med student from Tennessee. Natalie Tenorelli, a professional dancer from California. Philip Shepard, a former federal agent from California. and then Rob. And so that's our tribe of 9 on Ometepe. Then we have the Zapatera tribe. Pretty cool tribe name. Not a very cool tribe. We have Russell Hantz returning as captain from Survivor Samoa and Heroes vs. Villains. Our 8 new people. David Murphy, a defense attorney from California. Julie Wolf, a firefighter from California. Krista Klump, a pharmaceutical representative from South Carolina. Mike Chisel, an Iraq war veteran from California. Ralph Kaiser, a farmer from Virginia. The late Ralph Kaiser died earlier this year. Rest in peace, Ralph. Sarita White, a visual effects producer from California. Stephanie Valencia, a waitress from California. Steve Wright, an ex-NFL player from California. California!
Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why the casting sucks here is they just picked a bunch of randos from California.
Wow, where have we seen this before?
Yeah. Boring. They're like, we have Rob and Russ in the season. We don't have to try very hard on casting. Just pick 16 random people from California. All right, 13 random people from California and 3 others.
A couple from like Virginia.
Yeah.
We gotta feign some kind of diversity here. Geographic diversity.
Yeah. So that is our group.
And Rob is the first 4-time player, right?
Yes, Rob's first time 4-time player here. As soon as they're introduced, Francesca on the beach, opening day, is not thrilled about them being there. That's great, Francesca. Keep that to yourself.
Tell other people, not the actual returners.
Francesca is going to be the first boot because she leaves a bad impression, especially on Rob. He's like, oh, she doesn't want me here. She's gotta go.
For those of you out there who don't know my stance on attorneys, pre-law, and law students on Survivor, if I know better, I will never pick one to win the game because they always speak their mind, they speak it loudly, and they have almost zero nuance or subtlety to their game. Francesca continues to prove me right. Francesca, as Philip so endearingly refers to her as accidentally about 5 times in a row. So attorneys and pre-law and law students, if you're going to be out there going on Survivor, rein it in a little bit, reel it, quiet, because I will never pick you to win the game. Prove me wrong.
So on Zapatero, Russell is like, hey guys, I promised not to sabotage you this time, but I'm going to do everything else exactly the same. And he's going to end up running off and making an alliance with a girl, in this case Stephanie, and yeah, it's kind of pretty much the same as usual for Russell.
It's just copy and paste. And for Stephanie's like perspective, it's like, okay, well, this worked out pretty well last time for the person he partnered with, so...
They went to the end.
And remember when we were giving Russell a little bit of leeway for, not getting to see the result of his first season before playing again? It sounds to me like bro, I learned nothing.
Yeah.
Russell, big fan of the podcast, but this isn't a good idea.
And David, Sarita, and Mike are all like, oh, he copy-pasted. We should get him out.
Which is fair.
I mean, in general, everybody, you probably want to get both of these captains gone as quickly as possible. 1 for your camera time and 2 for your odds. Ryan, would you like to talk about the captain advantage for just a moment?
Yeah, the captain advantage is so overwhelming. It's not as bad as it is in like a fans versus favorite season, but they just know so much. They have so much more experience than you. They've done all this before. Take them out early, especially so you can get some camera time, because most of these people aren't going to get much camera time. They barely have any confessionals. So, do you want to be on Survivor, like actually on the show? Get rid of the captains.
So they said it better on Guatemala, where they say, they already had their shot. It's our turn to play Survivor. I kind of wish everyone on this cast would have done that. Yeah. I think it may have been better for the season on a whole.
Yes, probably.
So, anyway.
One tribe did that.
One tribe does that. Boss Rob's going to take charge of building the shelter, but more importantly, Philip. He's very condescending to all the women on his tribe. Then he tries to press them. He's like, guys, I got a secret for you. I'm a former federal agent. And he's gonna repeat this?
I can read faces. I can tell if they're lying. I spent years undercover. Well, not undercover, but, I can tell when people are lying.
So when we merge, I'll be able to tell if they are really on our side.
I'm an asset for you. Just like I was an asset to the great United States government, and I was in the military. And let me tell you, during my time in the military, I was so valuable, and this is why I'm the best.
Just look at my underwear.
Just look at my hot pink underwear.
Let's talk about Philip. Unfortunately. Besides, Rob and Russell, Philip is the only other person with a personality this season. Unfortunately, that personality sucks. Philip is one of my least favorite players of all time. I cannot stand this guy. He is such a blowhard. He thinks he knows everything. He knows nothing. He thinks he's entertaining. He's not. He plays up the camera every second he gets. He doesn't feel authentic at all. He feels like he's playing a character badly. And he drives me up the wall, and I want to beat my head against the wall whenever he's on screen.
Yeah, I'm in the same bucket as Ryan here, and I think the worst part is that it seems like it's all fake, but I have no idea if it is. I can't tell if he's just that way or if he's just that much of a narcissist.
And you know what? I don't care. Just get him on my screen.
Yeah, I'll take the angle of the podcast for just a second. This is 2022. I'm really trying to acknowledge if there's implicit bias here or not, because Philip is black. But it feels like it's something different. And it does feel like I don't want to call him a narcissist, but he is definitely drinking some concoction that says Philip is the greatest. And he thinks that. And so I don't want to discount any implicit bias related to race that I may have, but he has a personality, but it's not one that I want to root for. I did enjoy rooting against him. Unfortunately, it feels like he isn't going to be gone in episode 1. So anyway,
he might be the most annoying person ever be on Survivor. If we had to rank them all, he might be the most annoying.
After we get through, someday all of these rewinds, we might need to get some other rankings.
Yeah.
The annoying Mount Rushmore.
Because he'll be up there, but I don't know if he'll win.
He's 100% on the Mount Rushmore.
He's on the Mount Rushmore.
And I'm struggling to get somebody who's more annoying than him. We have more offensive, terrible people like Ben from Samoa.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't classify him as annoying. I'd classify him as offensive, which is two different things.
Yeah.
But I cannot stand Philip. So he's the main reason I don't enjoy this season.
Yeah, and he doesn't really seem like a bad person.
No.
Other than sometimes there's a little bit of sexism, it seems like at times, but not always. But yeah, we've had a lot worse people, at least.
I've heard people in real life say he's a nice guy. Some people don't get along with him, but some people say he's a really nice guy. And I definitely believe that. It's just I can't stand him on this show.
And again, we do divide this between the person and the player and TV character. So we're strictly talking about the TV character and the player here.
Unfortunately, production loves him.
I can see why.
He gives them stuff every time they go to him. It's just terrible stuff.
Which means that he's the only one on TV.
Yep, it's him and Rob.
Other than our captains.
Yep. Christina looks through the gear for an idol clue, because sometimes there are idol clues. Buster Ralph spots her. He's like, hey, know what you're up to. I'll try and distract him for you. But Buster Ralph is really like, oh, she's trouble. She's got to go.
I like this. I like the way he approached this. Because this could have gone so many different ways, but it was much more alliance focused, and it seems like she buys into it. So that's
for the briefest of moment, but it turns out in confessional she won't drop out because that's what you should do.
And even though Christina is going to prove to not be a very good player of Survivor, she has the right thesis. It's just that the rest of the paper after that was not checked for revisions at all. No peer review.
She's eventually going to find the idol. Unfortunately, by the time she does it, which is day 2, by this point, Rob has his fingers wrapped around all the young people on this tribe. So he's got an alliance with Matt, Grant, Andrea, Ashley, and Natalie, which leaves Christina with Francesca and Philip.
Uh-oh.
And Philip is impossible to strategize with. He's very combative. It's just not good. She has the idol though.
Yeah, so you could do something with that. Maybe.
We've seen a certain other person on this season come back from a 6-3 alliance deficit with nothing but an idol and 2 alliance members. So maybe Christina can do something here. Maybe.
We'll see.
It's been done.
Zapatera's going to win the first immunity challenge. So Christina tells Philip and Francesca she has the idol. They can blindside Rob. Francesca's like, okay, we could do that, and I will do that if you want, but I think we should get rid of Natalie instead. She's in Rob's pocket, and she's much weaker than Rob in the challenges. Okay, there's some logic to that. Not necessarily a bad play. You could really go either way. Either get rid of the weakest person on your alliance or the returning captain. I don't hate either one.
Yeah, and since Rob has, I don't know, really gotten a whole celebrity status here with this other group of people, they really don't seem like they want to get him out because he can be so valuable, at least to the tribe. So maybe go that angle and keep him around for this vote, because you might be able to persuade someone else to flip to the weakest person here.
The only thing you could do is if you do manage to find a way to knock out Rob, it could just like fracture that majority alliance, and then you have way more room to maneuver.
The problem being Boston Rob is wised up, and he understands Plan Voodoo, and he knows that with 6 and 3, there's no way to use an idol against him.
Yep. So he gets the plan is to split between Francesca and Christina and knock Christina out of the game because she seems to be the smarter of the two, according to Rob. We're going to Tribal Council. Philip has a meltdown. He starts saying Francesca and Christina are gunning for Rob. They have the idol, and then he declares he is voting for Francesca, as he puts it.
Yeah, so endearingly.
It's madness. It's the most entertaining part of the season is this Tribal Council because it's just nuts. Rob ends up asking Christina for the idol, and he's like, hey, if you hand over the idol, we won't vote you out, I promise. Christina's like, no! She's good for her. She doesn't do what Marty did, basically, last season. She ends up calling their bluff, not playing the idol. Bold move. I think she must suspect, since it's going to be a 3-3 split, and if Philip does throw it on Francesca, then Francesca would go home. So either she's lucky or she's good, or both.
She does seem pretty knowledgeable on the game,
yeah.
and knowledgeable on strategy. She just kind of didn't have a whole lot of options, and for some reason told the wrong people about her idol, and that's really what ended up screwing her here.
Are you saying a law student opened their mouth too much?
What?
Looks at Derek.
So, like, I would like to chalk it up to the fact that she knew what was going on, so good on her at least for that part. We'll give her the slightest bit of just kudos there.
I want to give her credit because Christina is one of the only people on the season I actually like.
Yeah, she was in my running for my actual winner pick. Halfway through the episode.
Yeah, I agree, and I think because Francesca and Christina are so competent, I think Rob very intentionally excluded them from the alliance of 6 that he formed. I think he assessed, who can I control? Who can I dupe? Who can I maneuver with? Who can't I? Philip is super unpredictable. Francesca's intelligent, and Christina's intelligent. Both Francesca and Christina also seem to understand the framework of the game. Oh, Rob don't want none of that. Get that on out of here. And he's like, I need to get them gone before they get me gone. If they were smart, they'd get me gone. So I'm just going to strike first. It's one of the advantages of being a first mover and a returner. So
good for Rob. I feel bad for Francesca and Christina.
I really do too.
It's tough. 4 votes for Francesca, 3 votes for Christina, 2 votes for Philip. Yeah, I mean, the point was to split the vote. They didn't get the idol out of the game, unfortunately. I think we can chalk that blame to Philip. Overall, this is a fine move because you still have 2 people to split between next time. So I like the move just fine.
It's hard. I still have a hard time giving a pass to the 5 people who are choosing to align with Rob. We're so early in the season that I'm almost mad at the way the alliances broke.
Sure.
So, I'll have to assess everything from an alliance point of view here forward. I still feel like I can say, this is the wrong move. Vote out Rob now. Just get the captain gone and take your chances with the challenges. That's just my opinion, and that's going to be how I feel about any given captain season, I think. Because if I'm a new player, I don't want it here.
That's a little too black and white for the purposes of this podcast.
I'm not saying that it's black and white. I'm saying, like, for me personally, that's always going to be my default. And absent of any additional information, because we get almost nothing from this episode, I default to you should get rid of Rob.
I mean, that's what they should do. I'm okay with it because even if you want to just look from the perspective of the other 5 in that alliance, they now have enough people to solely just the 5 of them on their own, if they really wanted to, vote off Rob. So
plenty of time.
There's plenty of time for them, not plenty of time for the people outside that alliance.
Yes. let's just hope they're willing to do that.
But try to do it as soon as possible.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean just,
ticking clock.
hang around, but...
Best worst player of the episode. Josh, who do you have for best player of the episode? Because for those of you who don't remember, Josh always watches the premiere episode, the merge episode, the finale episode with us. So he actually does have recent takes to make.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I do have notes now for, I think it was season 20 and on, so I do have best and worst for every single episode. Now, no guarantees that they're good takes,
And you're allowed to change it.
But they are takes nonetheless, so I will... since I'm contractually obligated to share my takes, I will.
I did slip that clause into your contract.
Yes, as an official consultant.
Yes.
So for my best of the premiere, it's got to be Rob, especially as a captain. Even if you throw the captain thing out the window, he was able to get a nice solid alliance here to where they are all buying into what he is selling and was able to focus fire on one of the other actual strategic players left on their tribe. And for some reason has loyalty of Philip enough to where he just blows up all of Christina's just knowledge. Add on the fact that he's a captain and he probably should be gone in the first few votes, and that's just a bonus.
Yeah, I agree completely. Plus, he built an awesome shelter. So, that endeared him to some people. I spotted Christina looking for that clue, came up with a split blow plan, knocked out Francesca, who was vocally against him. It was great for Rob.
Yeah, it's Boston Rob. I got nothing else.
How about worst player?
I had Christina. While she did seem like she was one of the most knowledgeable people on this season so far, it seemed like she really, one, cracked under pressure, and two, shared information with the wrong people. If you do find an idol, don't share it with anyone. I know that you feel like you're in a tough situation here. If you think that Rob thinks that you have an idol and you could be in danger of going home, maybe just keep that to yourself and play it on yourself. Nothing good can happen, especially when you share it with someone like Philip.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Philip. He's condescending, annoying, abrasive, and then he had that meltdown at Tribal Council.
I will say I originally wrote down Christina, but I feel like it has to be Philip. And the cherry on the sundae is at the end when he basically throws himself down at Boston Rob's feet at Tribal, almost like Benny throws himself at Imhotep's feet in Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. We don't have enough information on Philip to assume that he's going to be one of our ungradable players. Like, there comes a point in every season where I feel I'm on the podcast and I say, I can't grade them anymore. It's a big ol' incomplete. If I can apply a retrospect to this moment, I would say Christina probably played the worst, because you could probably go to Rob's other alliance members and try and pitch, hey, we need to get rid of this captain. I've got an idol. We can blindside him, rather than just kind of hanging out with Francesca and also Philip. I'm guessing she did do something like that and got shut down, but that's also, a demerit to her social play. So I'd probably say Christina with hindsight, but within the context of episode 1, it's got to be Philip, because he's still gradable for however short of amount of time we can truly grade him. It's Philip, I think.
He's going to get enough worst player of the episode, I think, for me to, let Christina have one.
Share.
So let's get into winner picks. Derek, who did you make your winner pick for this season?
Yeah, I made a couple notes, and as everyone understands, I like to pick one person from each tribe. I'm starting to see maybe a flaw in my captain season's fundamentals, because this is only my second true one where I've been paying attention, but Boston Rob was my possible winner pick from Ometepe, and then from Zapatera, it was Dave. There was a moment on that tribe, and we didn't get a lot from them, to be clear, where he was one of the few people saying, yes, we absolutely need to get Russell out as quickly as possible. He wasn't the only one who said it, but he was just a part of a grouping of people who agreed that he had to go. And I was like, all right, cool. This guy actually is smart and understands the mechanic and how it's working against the new players. So Dave was my pick from Zapatera. I will never pick, at least at this point, I had just said I will not pick a captain because new people would be stupid to let a captain make it to the end. Now, I'm 0 for 1 on that because Stephanie made it to the end. But I'm not giving up on my strategy yet, which made me land on Dave. And for those of you who are already understanding the joke, Dave is a defense attorney. I either missed that or they didn't show it in episode 1, but the second I found out, I messaged these guys saying, damn it, why did I do this? I didn't want an attorney. and I'm going to be proven very right.
Josh, who's your winner pick back on the day?
Yeah, so kind of the same reason as Derek. I could not get myself to pick a captain as my winner pick, but I did like Rob and Andrea from Ometepe. I did kind of like Christina until halfway through the episode, but that's how it goes. From Zapatera, I had David as well, along with Stephanie. I liked her approach to seeing what happened in the past. In past seasons of Survivor, use that historical frame of mind and partner yourself with Russell. What could go wrong? So I liked her as well. Ultimately, I'm also going to pick David here. There wasn't a lot.
No.
So if you want even more reasoning to back it up, I don't got it.
40-minute premieres where we spent 20 minutes explaining Redemption Island and hearing exclusively from Russell and Rob. And Philip. We don't have a lot to go on, people.
So, the way we do this is we always talk about my winner pick that I made when I watched this season live. At the time, I was...
Are you still on the Russell train? Because the last 2 times I think you picked Russell.
Yeah, okay. So in Heroes vs. Villains, I did pick Russell. I didn't in Samoa. But this time I did pick Russell. And my thought process was, he's an effective player, and now he's had some time away, a year, to think about his game, and maybe he learned something. So I ended up going with Russell just because, I'm picking a returning player. That is my move.
So different from us.
Exact opposite of you guys because they have so much more experience. I was picking Robert Russell 100%. It was just who do I go with? Russell, maybe he can do it again, and maybe he's learned something. I'm completely wrong on that. Nowadays, I pick Rob, 100% Rob. But at the time, I picked Russell.
So, young 15-year-old impressionable Ryan was waist deep in the alt-Russell pipeline.
No.
And he needed to get pulled out?
I mean, okay, yeah.
okay.
I wasn't a Russell fan at this point because I was very annoyed with him at the end of Heroes vs. Villains. I kind of fell out of love with Russell towards the end of Heroes vs. Villains because remember, I don't like that season. Really didn't like Russell that season, but I figured he might have learned something, so that's why I went with him.
So you were in the middle of deconstructing from the alt-Russell pipeline.
Yes.
You were shutting down production or construction.
Yes. So Russell's my pick. We'll see how this goes for me. Not well. Episode 2, You Own My Vote. Philip tells Rob that he owns his vote. Basically, Philip pledges loyalty to Rob until Philip gets sent to Redemption Island, and then Philip goes back and does whatever he wants, but he's like, hey, you keep me in the game, you have my vote.
Okay.
I offer you my service.
Yeah. Pippin to Denethor.
Pippin to Denethor, and also married to Theoden if you watch the extended edition.
Yes. It's going to work out pretty well for Philip on that one. This is probably Philip's best move of the season so far.
I mean, yeah, I suppose if you've got literally nothing else to keep you there for longer, all you can do is pray for time to quote Gandalf.
Exactly.
And Philip needs all the help that he can get. And I think at some level, subconscious or not, he understands that. It must be his former federal agent ? Intuition.
I don't know. I feel like it was unnecessary just because everything from the premiere already tells me that he's on Rob's side. You exposed the idol information from this other tiny group, and he had a conversation with him while building the shelter, basically saying, hey, we can be honest with each other, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but he's took it a step further here, and then he's going to back it up. So, this is going to be what saves Philip, I think, for the pre-merge. Because Philip's going to make it to the merge, unfortunately. Rob, Grant, Matt, Natalie, Andrea, and Ashley, they're going to make a final 6 deal, planning to take out Philip next. That's not what's going to happen. Not at all. We're going to lose one of these people in this episode.
Spoilers.
Russell is going to pull Krista into the alliance, the second girl, and then he's going to go looking for the idol. Steve sees him doing that, and he's like, hey, Russell's looking for the idol. We got to get that guy out of here. But lo and behold, Russell does not find the idol. Ralph Kaiser, the late Ralph Kaiser, just stumbles across the idol and has an amazing confessional with him holding the idol and going, hey, Russell, eat your heart out, man. Holding the idol. So it's a great confessional. Yeah, Ralph has the idol, not Russell.
There's something beautiful about Ralph finding the idol before Russell could, and possibly changing the course of this season. Entertainment-wise, clearly for the worst, but this was a great moment for Ralph, and I'm so happy that we had something go on.
Yeah, this was fun.
This is one of the few things that happens in the pre-merge.
Yeah, I think ultimately the producers really wanted both the captains, to get to the merge. I think if Russell finds this idol, that probably can happen.
So last season, the idols were kind of tough to find. This season, not at all. These are probably the easiest idols to find in all of history. They were just like in a tree, like a little spot on a tree. Like looking there, oh, you have the idol. Any idiot can find them.
I bet if they made it more difficult.
I think they shot themselves in the foot.
They made it easier on purpose to try it now. Tinfoil hat to try to let.
This is no tinfoil hat.
Rob or Russell find them, but it almost made it worse.
They made it easy enough that Ralph could just stumble across it by accident.
I do think he had to at least stick his hand into a hollow tree root. Yeah. The one that is going to be found eventually by a certain person on Ometepe, that one was pretty ridiculous.
No, I don't think there's any tinfoil hat. That's how TV producers think. So this backfired in their face, and that makes me laugh. Watching the Survivor producers try and do something that I disagree with blow up in their face brings me undescribable amount of joy.
That's the best part of 41 and 42.
Yes, agreed. And it happens a little bit here. Andrea and Matt have a showmance, which makes Rob worried. He's like, saw this on All Stars.
Where have I seen this before?
Worked pretty well.
I don't like that. I don't want to go against that. Smart, Rob.
Yeah,
good move. That's good move.
It's almost like Rob's played this game before.
He's a real game changer.
Immunity challenge. We're gonna have a showdown between Ralph and Philip. Ralph's gonna end up winning for Zapatera. After the challenge, Matt goes over to shake Zapatera's hand. Like, good game. Because Matt, he's like the really nice, like, Christian man. Like, oh, I'm just all good. I'm here to represent Lord Savior Jesus Christ, and I'm just here for as long as the Lord wants me to be here. Just seems like a nice stand-up guy. Gonna, honor sportsmanship, all the stuff that are just tenets of Survivor.
He's this season's iteration of the golden boy, if this season has such a thing.
Yes.
Archetypally.
Rob does not like this. Hey, you don't go shake the hands.
What are you doing? It's not even the merge yet. No swap. Doesn't matter.
That guy's playing smart. He's playing the jury already. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think Matt's just a genuinely nice guy.
And I don't know if Rob actually thinks this either, or if it's just an easy way to, cast suspicion on someone.
Yeah, that could be the case.
Just as well. Looking for ammo.
And we're not going to really have any reward challenges this season. So, like, all the immunity challenges come with a reward of some kind.
Because of Redemption Island.
Because of Redemption Island. So there's an idle clue in this reward. Russell finds the idle clue. Ralph sees him find it, and Russell goes off the clue, and Ralph is just like, hey, Russell's got the idol clue, everybody. He doesn't tell him he's got the idol, but just like throwing some shade on Russell. I really like this for Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
But Russell ends up telling Stephanie and Krista about the clue. They obviously can't find it. But most importantly, Mike and Ralph, they go confront Russell about the clue. And they're like, did you find the clue? Was there a clue? And it's just like this awkward argument about whether or not Russell has the clue. Bro, Russell has the clue. You saw it. Why do you need to catch him in a lie? Just let it go. It's fine.
Yeah, he already looks bad enough just based on his history. Like, everyone knows who Russell is, so you don't need to try to keep digging this hole for him. Because I feel like that's the only benefit that you might get from doing this, is catching him in some sort of lie.
You don't need to.
No.
You don't need to catch him in a lie. Maybe because Ralph was the only one who we truly saw who noticed it. I guess maybe Ralph wanted to get him to admit it so that it would validate or verify his claim to Steve or Steven,
Mike.
To Mike that, in fact, Russell had the clue. Either way, there's really no need to do this. Everyone knows that he was already scurrying around looking for an idol. There's, he walked the basket back and he stood in front of everyone and then he ran off into the woods. It's not a tough story to sell. Even if he doesn't have it, you can say he had a piece of paper. Whether it was a clue or not, I don't know, but then he ran off into the jungle.
Looked like a clue. 2 + 2 = clue.
Yes.
On Ometepe, Rob convinces Grant, Natalie, and Ashley to take out Matt. To break up him and Andrea, to turn on their own alliance. Because I think from Rob's perspective, Christina still got the idol. Can't get rid of her, but make it seem like she's going until she plays the idol. But he doesn't want to get rid of Philip, because he would be the backup vote, so Philip might be a useful number to him. So he's like, alright, I could break up Matt and Andrea instead, but tell Matt and Andrea it's going to be a split between Christina and Philip, because that's what the plan was. So Rob does not trust Philip, but he wants to see if he can. So he tells Philip, hey, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Until we get to tribal council, I will put my hand on the shoulder of the person I want you to vote for. So this is some like real like Jesus in the Last Supper and Judas kind of stuff here.
There's some real federal agent here.
And he makes sure to butter up Philip. Like, you need to be like an actor. I know you've done that with like your undercover work, and you need to like really act up like you're going home, and I promise you you're not going home. And so Philip's like, oh yeah, this sounds fun. And Rob, he's like, basically this is his test. Can Philip handle tribal council without losing his mind? If he loses his mind, he's going home. If not, well, maybe he'll be useful.
You know, this reminded me of a scene in the legendary movie Finding Nemo when Marlin has to trick Dory into thinking the jellyfish bouncing was a game, and you had to get out without touching the tentacles. You know, only the tops. And Philip was like, something about the tentacles. Got it! And then they just start racing out of the jellyfish. And so he gave him something to do. He occupied his mind.
But Philip's going to make it through the jellyfish without getting stung.
Yes, he did.
Tribal council. Rob is going to put his hand on Christina's shoulder because Philip plays his part as he should. Christina plays her idol because she's going home. Nope, it's going to be 4 votes for Matt, 2 votes for Christina, 2 votes for Philip. This was the wrong move. This, take Rob out of this. You got 3 other people, Ashley, Natalie, and Grant. You have an alliance of 5 plus Rob. You have this game locked up, and you're not going to take out, Rob, first of all. But you could just take out Christina and Philip. You guys are fine, play it safe. But no, you're just going to betray Matt and Andrea with Redemption Island in play. Matt can come back into the game, and now you got Andrea just pissed off. What a stupid move for those 3.
I agree. Last one I said you should take out Rob, but there's some ambiguity there. It's more of like a personal bias. I want my screen time and I want to play a clean game if I'm a new person. This one is just stupid. You're angering one of your core, you're sending another one of your core home, and if you're one of the 3 who aren't Rob, you still outnumber the showmance of 2. And if you've got good unity there, that is something that could go deep in the game, barring any kind of swap. And on captain seasons, I'm not sure that we're going to do something like that. And we haven't had a swap for a few seasons.
No, we haven't last season.
We had one in Nicaragua, but not the previous 2 seasons?
We didn't have one in 2019 or 18.
Right. So the swap is becoming a little bit more of a thing of the past for right now. Assume it can happen, but even then, you probably want to keep Andrea happy in case a swap does happen. It's easy. Split the vote between Christina and Philip and send one of them home.
Christina plays the idol, Philip goes home.
Yep, there you go. Boom. Beautiful. Don't need to get creative with this one.
This was too cute.
I don't even think this was a good move for Rob.
No, I don't think so either.
He drove the vote, but I think this was a bad move for him.
I'm actually fine with it from Rob's perspective, just because I think that this vote really set the tone for what this pre-merge is going to be for this tribe. It's basically, here we have Rob that's going to help out all the youngins and get them through whatever part of this game they're able to get through. They're just taking direction from him, and if he has a good idea strategically, they're all just going to do their part in order to just follow the direction. So from Rob's perspective, I think that this is perfectly fine, because maybe they do have a showmance going on. You split that up. You also bring in Philip, and now it seems like he's super loyal to you, so nothing wrong with that. You just swap out Matt for Philip. Yeah, maybe Andrea doesn't really work out, but who cares? Now you maybe down to 4 or 5 in your alliance. For everyone else, oof.
Yeah, big oof.
big oof.
Derek, who do you have for best player of the episode?
So I wrote down Boston Rob, and it's because even if I don't agree with the move, nobody else really does a whole lot that was good here. Ralph finds the idol, but then immediately goes and kind of rubs the clue thing in Russell's face, and I thought that was wholly unnecessary and kind of brings him below someone who's able to impose their will on the game in Boston Rob. So no one played a very good game today, or at least for this episode, so I'm just going to give it to the person who got what they wanted, and that's Rob.
I'm going to give it to Ralph, even though I don't like that confrontation. He did find the idol. He did make Russell look bad by telling everybody else, hey, he got the clue and ran off. Then he ruined it a little bit for himself. But also, he single-handedly won the challenge in the end. It was him versus Philip. Ralph wins it. I'll give him credit for that. So I had Ralph.
Past Josh said Ralph. Yeah, that's really close. I think I'd stick with Ralph, though. I'll give Rob an honorable mention. I'm really close on giving it to Rob just because it seems like he put himself in the driver's seat here with this vote, just being able to dictate it, but I'll give enough credit to Ralph.
I got no faults with you guys. Happy to be overridden.
How about worst player, Derek?
I had Russell. I think there is a strong argument for Grant or Ashley or Natalie, one of the other three in Rob's primary alliance for not doing enough. There's maybe an argument for Philip for just throwing himself at the feet of Rob and, making him a goat, but I actually think that this is a good move for someone as unpredictable and untrustworthy and unreliable as Philip. You could say Andrea for being in a showmance and being left out of the vote, but all things considered, that tribe still has a fair amount of unity and those people are semi-competent, and Russell is doing exactly what everyone was pegging him to do and not being subtle. He gets caught with a clue, he gets caught in a bit of a lie, and even though it looks bad for Ralph too for being in a confrontation, it looks bad for Russell because he's back to his old ways, and everybody knows it. So I'm giving it to Russell.
I did go with Andrea. You mentioned showmance, bad. Especially if she was Rob on it. She was left out of the vote. And the other thing, it was originally going to be her. Like, she was very lucky it wasn't her instead of Matt. I think what it was, Andrea did do well in the challenge, but more importantly, Matt went and shook Zapatera's hands, and I think that just pissed off Rob for some dumb reason. So Andrea got lucky that it wasn't her.
Or it gave him enough ammo to convince the other three that maybe he's got to go. So he just felt like, I can make more of an argument for this guy.
Sure. So I have Andrea as my worst player.
Well, past Josh said Christina.
Okay.
I don't really think I agree with that anymore.
She did burn her idol.
She wasted her idol, and that was the main reason. But
do I blame her?
Do I blame her? No. And I think that's one area where knowledgeably I've grown a little bit.
Sure.
That does not considered a waste just because it didn't work out. Like, it was the right move.
Yeah, the knowledge you had.
Yeah, you weren't clued into the vote. Sorry.
Well, and I want to talk about something that I noticed, knowing Rob as a player, but they don't talk about it, at least not yet. There's a thing, it's the Boston Rob buddy system. I don't think that anybody in that alliance talked to Christina for like the 3 days in between those votes.
I think it's more just that she's not in the alliance, so no one talked to her. So instead of going with Christina, I don't know. I guess I'll go with Andrea. I feel like I'm kind of splitting hairs, and the showmance didn't seem like that big of a thing when I first was watching, but I don't really remember that much. But it seems like a big enough just...
It's big enough for people to talk about it.
So big enough to give her worst player then. So I'll side with Ryan here.
Episode 3, Keep Hope Alive. Rob and Grant officially bring Philip into the majority alliance because he's proven himself trustworthy. Rob then tries to comfort Andrea and say, hey, no, you're still cool, you're in the alliance, don't worry about it, it's definitely not a big deal that we voted out your closest ally. Andrea does not buy this, but she's like, I'm going to play it cool because I cannot do anything right now. I don't have the numbers to do anything, so I'm just going to play it cool. You'll love to see it. Great for Andrea.
And there should at least be one other person, maybe two, that can go before her.
Yeah, she's still above Christina.
Yep.
Each tribe gets to randomly select 2 people to go see the very first Redemption Island duel. Andrea and Ashley draw the orange rocks, and then for Zapatera, it's David and Steve. So we're going to see our very first Redemption Island duel, and we don't really need to talk about any of the duels because they're just like an obstacle or two in a typical challenge.
And spoiler, Matt wins.
Matt is going to beat Francesca. Francesca is going to be the first person eliminated from Survivor Redemption Island. Officially, Matt stays alive to await his next foe, basically.
There are 2 things I want to say. One, I'm very sad that they were forced to burn their buffs.
Yes, that does make me sad.
And also, there is a little bit of cross-pollination with words that can start. Andrea wastes no time by saying, I did not vote for either of these people. I don't necessarily like that she did that in front of Ashley, and you don't need to impress people on Redemption Island, but she kind of initiated or was the first one shown on camera to say, like, hey, this is an opportunity to show Zapatera people what's going on over here and to let these people know what happened with the vote. So it's just something of note. Good or bad, we can discuss, but of note.
So I guess we could say as consultants, the move here, and this can apply to anywhere where there's cross-pollination with another tribe, whether it be a summit, Redemption Island, anything like that, where you are at a thing where you meet with the other tribe, even a challenge. So just be careful what you say and just try and listen more than talk if you're at anything like this. So that's the play if you have to go to like a dual arena or something like that. Now, here's the fun part, sweetheart. Francesca is going to play again. Do we want to see it?
You know,
Derek, did you know this?
No.
What? you known this?
I'm curious.
Wait, so a first boot comes back, actually.
One and only time it's happened, besides like All-Stars where Tina was the first boot in All-Stars.
Sure, but
That doesn't count.
Yeah, she's a former winner.
Yes,
you know
but
that
like, the first time and only time a legit first boot comes back.
a
and plays
true
again.
first boot comes back and plays again. I do think that she got a little bit Rob screwed, so like I'm okay with her coming back. She did seem like a competent player for the short amount of time that she was here. So bring her back on a non-captain season, and let's just see what happens.
Now Derek's wondering, like, what the hell season does she come back on and in what context?
No kidding. Yeah.
Game changers.
No, is she gonna come back as a favorite on Fans versus Favorites? Oh my.
We shall see.
Oh.
I love that. Like just earlier this last episode, I think Derek ended up saying like, put like Francesca and Christina on a different season, like without captains, and see how they do basically. And I'm just like,
I did say,
Interesting,
you know,
Derek.
I said that Boston Rob looked at the people who seemed to be competent players and who seemed to be incompetent and wanted to group the less competent players with him because he could control them, get his tendrils in there, and oust everyone else, and plus Philip is just a big old wild card.
so we'll see how she does next time without Rob there.
Unless Rob's
there for a fifth time.
Josh, do you want to see Francesca come back?
No.
I have always maintained I'd be curious to see what like first boots come back, and even before this happened, I was like, I want to see what happens if you bring a first boot back. So I won't say pumped, but I was like pleasantly surprised. Like, really?
I guess that's probably about where I was. Like when she ends up popping up, it's just like, first of all, why? Second of all, okay.
Let's see what happens.
You know what? I'm fine with this.
And for the record, that's where I'm at. I'm not pumped about it, but like to see her again, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Honestly, she's one of my favorite people in this entire pre-merge. She's the first one out.
She's here for 5 whole minutes.
I would love to see a whole season of first boots, just see what happened.
Yes, oh please. You just want Reem back. Don't even lie.
Not just Reem.
Francesca.
Chicken from China. So yeah, I this is what I was waiting for this whole podcast. Like, all day I'm just like, I hope Derek doesn't know about this. I can't wait to get this reaction.
I knew nothing. I was Jon Snow. That's hilarious.
So David and Steve, they witnessed all this. They decided to come back and tell Russell that Matt she lost the challenge because they want to vote out Russell, send him to Redemption Island, and then just like psychological warfare and trick him out. Like, oh no, Matt's actually here. Oh. It's completely unnecessary. It's so stupid.
It's really unnecessary, but this is the level of petty that I actually find kind of hilarious. Like,
because it's like, what Matt? Why does it matter?
Well,
it
like,
doesn't. Only one's gonna make it.
Because Russell is pretty well known to be a bully, and he crosses that line. That's why he basically draws dead on both of his seasons. So the fact that everyone is kind of in on the joke now, and they're almost like reverse hazing him. Like, I don't want to say that it's okay to do that kind of thing, but they don't cross a line with it. It's just this little petty revenge, and I really like it.
Completely unnecessary.
Like, we're gonna lie to you about the least important thing ever.
Yes.
It's so funny.
The least important lie in Survivor history. Russell, Stephanie, and Krista, they cannot find the idol. They decide to make a fake one, hide it in Stephanie's bag, and then Stephanie's just going to carry the bag everywhere, like Secret Service style. Handcuff herself to this bag and just trying to draw attention to herself.
Yeah, the nuclear launch codes were in there too, I'm pretty sure.
So that's kind of funny. But Zapatero, they're just so sick of Russell that Steve, Mike, David, Sarita, and Ralph are all like, let's just throw this challenge and get rid of him. The only person of the majority who's not really interested is Julie. She's very hesitant to do this. I think eventually she's going to join in the throw because everybody else wants to do it. But I think this is too early for a challenge throw. You only won 2. Yeah, I love the good challenge throw. Wait another episode or 2 before the throw.
A little early.
Ryan and I, on this podcast in particular, we love a good challenge throw. This is like the 3rd one in a row where it's like, no, this is not a good one. There's a very specific situation where you want a challenge throw, and there's only been a few moments through 22 seasons where that opportunity has been there.
Yep.
This is not one of them. So
we're going to get to the immunity challenge, and they decided, like, hey, if we decide we're going to go through with it, once Jeff says, like, hey, you guys ready to play? They're all going to give, like, the thumbs up saying, yes, we're doing it. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. They get there, and like I said, there's a reward in each challenge. Tarp is part of the reward, the most valuable item. Call it off. Call it off.
And that's what all these I think you mentioned all these pre-merges are going to be combo reward immunity challenges. So there's a little bit more to it that might not let you throw the challenge. You know, I think this is enough.
If it was like pillows, like the Russell Swan Survivor Samoa.
Comfort.
If it was just pillows, maybe okay, fine. But this is a tarp, baby. You get the tarp.
Zapatera actually chose comfort over utility here by voting out Russell. They're like, we're gonna be so happy with him gone. It's like having pillows.
Now, are we somewhere else? Like country, like location wise?
We are still in Nicaragua, just like last season.
Ah, gotcha.
Which was a very rainy season.
Interesting. There's San Juan del Sur, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll be back here again for 29 and 30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna bounce around between like 3 countries for the next decade,
and then land in
Fiji. So it ends up being like David versus Rob on the puzzle, the 2 puzzle masters, but David's throwing the challenge, so he's not very good, and it's kind of funny watching David try to throw this because you can tell he's like he knows what to do, and he's like, how do I like not do this?
This is too easy.
I'm gonna stand here and stare at the puzzle because I don't know what to do.
And this was a return of the water wheel of death, was it not?
Yes, this is the water wheel of death.
I love this challenge. It's so ridiculous.
I'm so sad that we're never gonna see it.
This is the second and last time we get this.
Jeff, a big listener of the podcast, bring it back.
Stop recycling crappy challenges.
Recycle the good one.
So Rob wins it from Ometepe, and as they're leaving, we get confessional. Russell's like, I'm pretty sure they threw that. I'm pretty sure they threw that. They a bunch of bitches. I'm playing with a bunch of bitches.
You're in danger.
I'm in danger.
And Rob ends up finding the other clue in their rewards. Rob has the clue. Russell, Stephanie, and Krista's plan is to get Julie to flip because they know they're going to do a 3-3 split. And so they just need one person to join them, just like what happened with Tyson. Or, Tyson screwed up. But basically, same idea is get one person to flip. And their plan is to work on Julie. Because Julie even admits, she's like, I don't want the challenge show kind of stuff. She seems, I think that's the right.
It's the right target.
It's definitely the right target. We're gonna go to tribal council, and Stephanie is weirdly combative with everyone, just like kind of insulting them. And I do want to say one of the few people with personality on the season is Stephanie. I did enjoy Stephanie quite a bit.
This is not good gameplay, but boy, oh boy, was it a nice break from literally everything else happening. We're making this sound way more exciting than it actually was.
Stephanie has some fun confessionals. It's going to be 3 votes for Russell, 3 votes for Stephanie, 3 votes for Ralph. Ralph was the target. Revote, 5 votes for Russell, 1 vote for Ralph. Yeah, this is the right move.
Yeah, get the wild card out there. I mean,
it's
not even a wild card really, because you know what you got.
It's the known evil.
Yeah.
Shouldn't put on the challenge, but let's say you just lost it. Yeah, give it to Russell.
Yeah, rewind, try and win the challenge. Assuming that you can do that, you're not even in this position, but drop us in here right now, like this. Yeah, it's got to be Russell. It's got to be.
Yeah. He's just too chaotic to, live in the game. Plus, he's a returning player. Plus, the cabin. Plus, screen time. And, I want to thank the Zapatera truck for finally voting out Russell and putting an end to this madness, because this is the last time Russell's going to play an American Survivor. He's going to come back on the Australian version, not do very well, but this is his last time on American Survivor. Hallelujah, it's over. Basically.
Should have been on Game Changers instead.
Yep.
Glad he wasn't, though.
All right, so for best player, I had Boston Rob. He brought Philip into the alliance. He found the auto clue. He won the immunity challenge. Yes, there was a throw involved, but still, it looks like he won the immunity challenge. His tribe is going to think him more valuable now. So Rob was my best player of the episode.
Basically, everyone on the Zapatera tribe did the wrong thing by throwing the challenge, which de facto sends the best player to Ometepe, and the only player that we saw do literally anything was Boston Rob. So it's Boston Rob. And at least he tried to make nice with Andrea. Mm-hmm. You could make an argument for Andrea for basically backing off and being like, you know what? I don't believe him, but I have no choice. I'm just going to lay low. I think there is a good argument there, but you mix in the fact that, Rob now has a clue to an idol. I think you got to give it to Rob. But just honorable mention to Andrea. You did everything you could given the situation.
Yep, I also said Rob.
Worst player. As much as I like her, I do with Stephanie. She was overly combative at Tribal Council. She ended up being on the wrong side of the boat. She laid in her bed next to Russell and Krista, and it was not the right move.
It's almost like she channeled, Russell's voice and let it all loose. Russell didn't even need to fight for himself at this Tribal Council because Stephanie was so busy painting herself to look badly. In a way, Russell was very clever, like, maybe she'll talk herself right out of the game and they just want to weaken me rather than take me out. That was never the right move, and Zapatera does end up doing the right thing, but Stephanie, man, she certainly tried hard to make herself go home. As much as I love to see it, it's not a good move.
I also had Stephanie.
It's good for us.
It's almost like it was very obvious.
Yeah. Episode 4, Don't You Work For Me. Philip spends the entire episode working while people are trying to sleep, being bossy, and being condescending. This is multiple scenes, and I just got it all out of the way with now. Cool, there's half the episode.
And that's basically what he's done so far, the entire premiere. So
yeah, there's not a supercut, but it is a consistent theme throughout the episode. Like, oh, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. And we're going to take a break, we're going to come back. It was kind of the B plot of your typical, daytime drama.
Yeah. Ralph decides to tell his core lines to Six, Zapatera 6, that he has the idol. Ralph, why?
I have no...
Save this, man. Carry this into the merch, so you're probably going to be fine.
And why didn't you do it? If you're going to do it, why didn't you do it last time? When there was a small danger of Julie flipping. You'd be like, guys, you don't have to worry. I had the idol, not Russell. At the danger critical moment where someone could flip. Why not do it then instead of now, and why do it at all?
He probably got spooked by getting one vote. Yeah, it was Russell.
3 votes.
Oh, 3 votes.
Yeah.
Sorry. But, still, that shouldn't really mean a whole lot.
No.
One thing I want to acknowledge, editors have been known to clip things out of one episode and put it into another episode, and because this is sort of the core alliance on Zapatera, this may have happened prior to the Russell vote. That said, we have to take this canonically.
Unless we've heard otherwise.
We need to take it in this order. It doesn't make sense. You've got a clear 1A, 1B to go home next. And I don't know where Ralph stands, but I can't imagine people would have many reasons to send him home. He's a good worker around camp. He's a pretty loyal number. He's good in challenges.
They all seem to like him.
Yeah, likable enough, but, you kind of want to take him to the end because you know that his strategic game is basically a big old donut. So Ralph is a good tribe mate, and if he were to have the self-awareness to recognize this, he'd realize, I don't have to tell anyone about this idol. I'm sitting pretty.
Yep. So, Redemption Island Doodle, Philip and Katrina are going to go, Ralph and Sarita are going to go. Matt's going to defeat Russell and send Russell out of the game. Russell actually has a pretty emotional moment. He actually cries afterwards, and for a moment, I feel kind of bad for him, because it's just like, you can tell he's got the passion for it, and,
And it seems like even if he would ever play again, that this is kind of the realization that he would never have a chance to win.
And then he gets back into it by being Russell. What ends up happening is Ralph tries to mock Russell by saying he found the idol 5 minutes into the game. And Russell's like, oh yeah, show it. And Ralph is about to take it out, and Sarita's like, no, don't do that. That's bad. Don't do that. And Ralph's like, I'm just kidding. I didn't actually find the idol.
LOL, JK.
And lest we forget, Philip, you were absolutely telling the truth. I was a former federal agent, and I can see when people are lying, and I 100% telling the truth. Ralph had the idol. And this is not in confessional, everyone. He says this
At the duel.
at the
Be careful
duel
what you say.
to everybody.
Which now, his whole reasoning, if we want to wind back to the premiere, and he's like, I can be an asset to us. Come merge them. I can tell when people are lying. Okay, well now everyone knows that you are, in quotes, a federal agent. Former federal agent.
I just like to say, even though Philip still qualifies for worst player of the episode, it was at this point that I basically deemed his game ungradable. We've already reached that point. Philip's game is officially ungradable for me. I will still give him a grade because he's showing up to class.
Critical mass. We've reached critical mass.
But we're already here.
Great, Ralph. Now basically everyone in the game besides Stephanie and Krista know you have the idol. Good job.
Or at least suspect that you have it strongly enough to make a play against you.
Hope it was worth it for someone exiting the game.
So Russell's gone. We'll see him in Australian Survivor, but he's done here.
Stay tuned for.
And he's burned enough bridges with CBS that we're never getting him back.
I would also be remiss to say he went through all that trouble to spill the beans about everything before he left. I know Redemption Island is a little bit different of a mechanic, but I feel the same way about it here as I feel about it when anyone else does it. Once you're voted out, I think it's bad sportsmanship to try and burn it all down on your way out. Didn't like it when Drea did it in 42, and I don't like it here. So I know it's legal. You're allowed to do it. You have to account for it, but I don't like it.
I don't care. And the whole point of the season is like, hey, your sins are going to come back to haunt you. These people aren't completely out of the game. So it's kind of that's part of the theme of the season. What you can criticize Redemption Island all you want, but I think the producers like it because that's part of the theme of the season.
Oh, they absolutely do, and I acknowledge this.
Ryan, you loser, lost your winner pick.
That was fast.
Moving on to Rob, I stand by it.
It's fair enough.
No one else to move on to. Speaking of Rob, he's going to throw a beach party at his tribe to get everyone out of camp. And then he's going to be like, oh, my stomach hurts. Get over to the bathroom. He's going to run back and go find the idol. Rob has the idol.
Smart.
Yeah.
Good job. And, I mean, you're sitting around so much on Survivor just doing nothing. So if someone, wants to get a beach party going together, I see nothing, no red flags here if you're not Rob.
Yeah.
And let's fast forward a little bit. Everyone kind of likes this beach party, and a couple people are going to say later on in the pre-merge, let's have another beach party. So obviously, this turned into a bit of an activity.
Team bonding.
And so, even though Rob had to search 38 out of 40 trees in essentially 20 minutes so that people weren't suspecting him too heavily, he does find the idol, and everyone has a good time. This is like a win-win kind of lose situation for everybody. Good job. The best kind of distraction.
So Philip and Katrina decide to leverage the info they got at Redemption Island. And Philip's like, hey, if I tell you what happened at Redemption Island, you gotta protect Katrina. And this really pisses off Rob. He plays it pretty cool. He's like, yeah, sure, this could help Katrina. But inside he's like, don't you work for me? Which is the name of the episode.
Who's Katrina?
Christina.
Oh.
Christina, not Katrina. Christina. But Rob and Grant, they're here. They're pissed off with Philip. They're gonna play along,
That's all you can do.
It's like,
just play along.
But I just want to draw some congruency here. I'd only really seen Boston Rob play Marquesas and then Winners at War at the time. Maybe through All Stars as well, right? Boston Rob does the same thing to Ben in Winners at War, where Ben's like, I got some information that you don't have, and Rob's like, why don't you tell me? And just totally outclasses the other guy in front of someone who he has a stronger bond with than the third wheel. And I can see Philip kind of being like, oh, crap, I have no idea who I have come. I actually have no power in this situation. And Rob's like, I don't need this information, but what, are you blackmailing me? What are you doing?
Do you know who I am?
What made you think this was a good idea? I know something you don't know. That's a pretty bad plan.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk about the congruency to the Ben Drieberg and Philip situation. I thought it was so funny watching it in real time.
I actually forgot about that, but that's hilarious.
It's like going from the minors to the pros.
Yeah.
You're still a good baseball player when you're in the minors, but you come across someone like that with what you think is good strategy, and you're just completely outclassed.
Yeah, Philip gives up everything, and Rob and Grant no longer trust him. Good job!
That's what we call, in the business, a lose-lose-lose situation with the old Philip.
So the Immunity Challenge is sponsored by Craftsman Tools.
I specifically wrote down in my notes, cool challenge, Sears.
Yes, Sears Craftsman Tools. So I want to point out, we didn't talk about in the first episode, they were given quite a bit of supplies this season, specifically tools and nails and stuff to build a nice shelter.
Weird how that worked.
And I'm just thinking, oh, this is part of Rob's demands. He's like, I want good stuff. I don't want to starve this whole season. I'll give you some good entertainment, but this isn't going to be a hard season.
Because didn't you say potentially something similar happened on Heroes vs. Villains?
Yeah, they were getting more supplies.
Yeah.
We did the whole All Stars thing. We see it. I get it. It doesn't really matter.
That's not why we're here.
Yeah. But Zapatero wins the Craftsman Tools Immunity Challenge, and shame on Rob for losing this one. This was here for Rob to win, and he didn't win. So Omatep is going to tribal council. They all want Philip out. Easy peasy. But Natalie is worried that Christina. Jesus, I wrote Katrina a lot. Is worried that Christina has the idol again. And Rob's like, yeah, that's a good point. That's something to worry about. All right, how about we split between her and Philip? And take her out. That way we can keep Philip around because no
one knows except for me, but
he can protect me a little bit. Tribal council, 4 votes for Christina, 3 votes for Philip. Probably the right move to at least to do the split. It's good for Rob at least.
I think that this played out exactly the way that it should have.
Philip's okay in the challenges.
Yeah.
Guys, it's so hard I want to grade this from the perspective of the entire alliance, but now we're a couple votes in. I know Matepe, and obviously Rob isn't doing enough to keep them from losing 3 out of 4 challenges so far. And he lost a challenge basically handcrafted for him, and they know him well enough to discern that. Maybe they should consider voting out Rob.
Could be.
Well, yeah, okay. So if we're gonna go that direction, it's
I'm
kind of
not-
weird how we're not even like considering that.
I'm not going to say it, because when you're on the island and you have your social bonds and you have your alliances, who am I to tell them that it's the right move to vote out somebody who is very socially strong with them, just threw them a whole beach party, and is probably contributing way more than someone like Christina. That's totally fine, but I just want to keep inserting this into the conversation so we don't let the editors kind of whoop-de-wop us into thinking that keeping Rob around for a long time is a good idea. It's not.
It's almost like they're feeling that Rob needs to be like the merge boot now,
Sure.
Which is a weird way of thinking about it, but sure. And I will say, actually, in my notes, I did say that it was the right vote, but I wouldn't have split it. I would have just gone all out on Christina.
I'm fine with the split.
Yeah.
Derek, who you got for best player?
It's Boston Rob again. He threw the beach party, he found the idol, and he was able to go along with the, fake thought that Christina might have the idol again, and therefore split the vote successfully, even if she would have had it, and they would have still had their way as their alliance. So it's Boston Rob.
Plus, he got that information out of Philip, right? Just strong-arming him.
Plus, he absolutely strong-armed a former federal agent?
Yes. Might be a felony.
It might be.
I agree. It's Rob.
How about worst player?
So I actually had Rolf. I thought that he did very poorly with telling everyone about his idol, and then going to the summit and basically admitting again that he has an idol, and now in either direct or indirect ways, everybody in the game, almost everyone in the game, knows that he has an idol. So I had Ralph for not playing his idol very smartly at all. It was the one big thing he had going for his game, and he's showing that he doesn't really know how to handle that.
Strongest honorable mention of Ralph. I gave mine to Philip for his horrendous social game and horrendous strategic game. He lost his trust with Grant and Rob. Just a horrible night for both of them. I gave it to Philip, though.
Past Josh gave it to Ralph.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not going to fight you.
And I think I'd stick by that.
Not going to fight you on that one at all.
I did, hilariously enough, say this is where Philip becomes ungradable, so if someone else does something really dumb, Philip can't win anymore or lose.
Good luck.
Episode 5, We Hate Our Tribe. Philip continues to annoy people.
Control-C, Control-V.
And this is where we get a confession from Rob. He's like, everyone hates Philip. It's really keeping the heat off me. Maybe I should keep him around. It's a meat shield, a rotten meat shield.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You keep someone so unlikable around that it just draws all the fire from everyone else. Great move for Rob.
Yeah, say what you want about this season and, the benefits that, Survivor, producers, whoever it might be, are giving to the captains, but Rob is still playing very well. It's not like he's just, taking everything and just not really doing anything and just coasting.
Yeah, he's not coasting.
He is really playing well.
Yeah, he's kind of putting on a seminar. Unfortunately, everyone he put in the game are crash dummy robots.
I was gonna say, it feels like a game of Fortnite where you're just filled with bots.
Yeah.
Just
it's it makes you feel really good about yourself, and you're just mowing them down, and you're like, oh, none of those are real players. Shucks.
oh well,
Darn it.
still one, don't care.
Still feel good.
So Kristen, Stephanie, and then Rob and Grant go to the duel. Matt defeats Christina. Stephanie and Kristen make it known they want to flip, which I don't mind them doing this here. It's just they have nowhere else to go, so it's might as well just hey, if we can end up together, we'll work with you because we hate our tribe. So just show them out there.
Yeah, so I mean, not terrible, but maybe don't say it to Rob. I mean, you haven't played with him, so what do you know? But
yeah, nothing to lose.
what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, if you're on the bottom and you're the next to go, I mean, if they were able to flip, they should. I would be an advocate for it, and this is the closest thing they can do is plant the old Russell seed, hey, you actually have +2. Even if you lose the next couple challenges and we go to a merge, heck with these guys, we're going with you.
Well, who knows? You might have swap.
What they should do is ask Jeff, hey, Jeff, can we go home with them?
Can we mutiny, please?
Who knows? Jeff might have just been
They'd be
screw it.
They might allow it. They might do it.
I don't think that they would, but They'd be tempted.
They would be 100% tempted.
The old too cool rule from Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Or you know what they would do? They would immediately they would say no, but immediately write it into like the plan for the season where it's like, okay, starting now we're gonna let the mutiny.
Andrea and Philip actually have a nice bond session over their work ethic, and they both feel like they're on the bottom of the tribe because they are. And Ashley and Natalie, who we haven't talked about at all because they haven't really been on the season at all.
Who?
They don't do anything. They lay on the beach all day.
They are the contestants who don't do anything.
Exactly.
They just sit at camp and lie around. Camp done.
Purple Kelly who?
And Andrea is like, you know, she plays nice with them. She goes and hangs out with them and just spends some social time with them just to have that bond. But she's a farm girl. So she has a strong work ethic, and she'd feel a bond over the fact that, like, those two suck. They don't do anything.
They don't have to.
They don't have to.
Doesn't make it okay, but yeah.
And Rob's gonna be like, I love that they don't do anything. They're perfect alliance members. They don't do anything, and they don't cause any problems, and everyone hates their guts. I'm gonna take them to the end and win easily. It's great. It's like, he just summed it up. And more of the Boston Rob seminar. Krista and Stephanie are frustrated that the rest of their tribe isn't playing the game. No, they're not playing with you. I hate when people say that. No one's playing the game, or like the fans are playing. No one on that tribe is playing the game. No, everyone is playing the game by definition. They're players on the board. They're not playing with you. Think about why.
And they might also be playing poorly, but who knows? Maybe that's their strategy. You don't know.
There is a tightrope to be walked here, because when you're on the outs like that, going to them and saying you guys aren't becoming battle tested, you're not playing the game, when some adversity actually comes your way, you're not going to know how to handle it. And there is a little bit of truth to that. If you have tribes that go through the pre-merge with absolutely no adversarial or animosity moments, they might be outclassed by a tribe that's slightly down in numbers that understands how to scramble better and has more trust with each other. We've seen that. So there is an argument there, but the fact that they're also saying it in their confessionals leads me to believe that they actually think that these people aren't playing the game. You should go to Steve and be like, Steve, you guys aren't really playing right now. You have to understand there is a 5, and you're one of the weaker ones at the challenges, but you're a former NFL player. Come merge time, you might get kicked. I will have you higher on my list than they do. You know, and Steve's just an example. I'm not saying I believe that. They could be doing that, and I don't think they are.
No, they just isolate themselves instead.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this sucks. My tribe sucks. I'm not going to talk to them.
Nobody wants to play with us, so we're just going to go sit in the corner. And
nobody wants to work anymore.
Like, okay, come on, guys. Make something happen.
Immunity challenge. It's going to be the hero blindfold caller puzzle solver. It's going to be Rob versus Stephanie. Rob, obviously, but most of the Zapatero wanted David to be in that role because he's the puzzle guy. Sarita, who is kind of like the leader of this tribe, like if you pay attention, like they say that a few times, and it's like, who's Sarita?
Yeah, there is a person named Sarita here. This is honestly the first time that I learned her name.
Yeah, she's here. She puts Stephanie in that role because Stephanie's loud. Okay, but is Stephanie good at puzzles? Apparently not.
Everyone was kind of against Sarita on this.
Yeah, everybody wanted David to do it. Sarita's put Stephanie in. Rob beats Stephanie. And everyone's kind of more mad at Sarita than Stephanie. Like, yeah, no, it's fine, Stephanie. You did your best. You just weren't the right person for the role, and that's Sarita's fault for screwing that up. Whoopsies.
For the record, though, I don't like the way that, in particular, Dave was calling this out. Like, if someone else assigns someone the hero role, and you don't have to be the hero role in the pre-merge, probably don't do it. Unless you're the next one on the chopping block, and your life depends on winning this challenge, which, Dave, yours does not.
Yeah.
And just let Stephanie play the hero role. If you lose, you've got Krista and Stephanie that you can vote out, and Sarita that you can throw under the bus. This is a win-win-win for you. You don't have to be combative about it.
Yeah.
This is going to become a thing, and this is the start of it.
David does not handle anything well for the next 3 episodes.
No.
Rob and Grant spot the auto clue. Grant throws up a block for Rob, and just like distracts people. Rob runs off with the clue. And in brilliant move, he swaps it out for the old one he found earlier, which was useless. It was just like, there's a clue, there's an idol on the island somewhere, good luck.
Yeah, it could be under a rock, it might be in a tree, who knows?
It's somewhere.
Bye.
So Rob runs away, swaps out the new one for the old one, shows Grant the old one. It's like, yeah, dude, this is useless.
We'll never find this.
After the challenge, David and Sarita really get into a fight about it. Sarita's like, David's just like been panicky in the past. Sarita, you're thinking of the challenge throw where he like played panicky, but that was a challenge throw. David's like, no, I'm not panicky. Everyone's on David's side, but it's just like a bad look for both David and Sarita.
It's really weird. It's very. This wasn't fun for me. Like in a pre-merge where I'm just dying for something to happen, I'm like, did it have to be this?
Is this where we're starting to not have fun, Derek?
At this point, it was already like 3 episodes of not having a ton of fun, but it's just becoming less fun.
And these 3 episodes suck. These last 3 episodes are terrible. So boring. It's Stephanie or Krista, obviously. So basically, nobody likes Krista. Nobody likes Krista. She's terrible. Stephanie may be the better player and the more dangerous people, but there's actually people in this group who actually like her. She can be a little fun to be around. And there's hope they can bring her into the alliance. Like, there's no hope for Krista. She's terrible.
Well, and her worst thing against her is basically that she paired herself with, with Russell, who's gone.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Well, and the other thing that's very telling, at Tribal, Krista says, yeah, nobody wants to play with me. Nobody will come talk to me. And they're like, Krista, you also never came and talked to any of us.
Yeah.
So I doubt they're just playing that up for the camera, which all but confirms to me that Stephanie and Krista were not going out of their ways to try and scheme their way out of a corner. So, Krista, you can't just be like, oh, they don't want to play with me, and then not try to play with them. You have to initiate. They've got no reason to come to you. It's $1 million game.
Tribal Council, 6 votes for Krista, 2 votes for Steve. With, I think, all the information we have, because some of the exit interviews said the same thing, like, Krista, like, didn't talk to anybody, she just sucked, or Stephanie at least tried.
Good old Wendy.
So with all that information, I do think this is the right move. You get the person who doesn't try to connect at all and knock them out of the game. I think from the edit, it kind of makes it seem like it should be Stephanie, because she's clearly the better player. But I think with all the information that I have, I'm going to say this was the right move, but if you guys were to say otherwise, just based on the edit, I wouldn't fault you at all.
And I don't think so. I think Stephanie is a better performer in the challenges. So if you've got like the next 2 to go home, keep her on the one who's more competent in challenges, and that seems to be Stephanie. She may have lost to Boston Rob at the puzzle.
Most people would.
Boston Rob is one of the best puzzle solvers in the history of Survivor, if not the best.
Yeah.
So you can't fault her too badly for that.
Yeah. No.
So I'm okay with keeping Stephanie and sending Krista home, even with the inside baseball.
I originally said Stephanie would have been the better route.
Okay. Yeah.
Route.
Can't fault you with that.
Fair enough.
Best player, I had Boston Rob. He spotted the clue with Grant. He swapped him out. He won the immunity challenge.
It's Boston Rob. The only other thing I thought was funny was when he was doing this whole duping mechanism with Grant. He said, I gotta keep myself entertained somehow. These guys are pretty boring out here. And he's like hopping on rocks across this little creek on the beach with Grant in tow. And they're like, oh, we did it! We did it! We did it!
And Derek's just like, same.
So it's Boston Rob, and there was a fun moment.
Interestingly, I said Andrea for past Josh. Just a little bit at the beginning. Now, it seems like I'd probably go with Rob here.
And you were talking about her assimilation with being a hard worker and, you know, bonding with Philip a little bit better and, you know, maybe putting her usefulness above, like, your Natalie and your Ashley.
Yeah, she might be scraping herself up off of the bottom of the tribe.
She's certainly doing everything that she can.
Yeah. Worst player, I had Stephanie, and I just want to remind everybody, if you get voted out, you can't win either award. And while you're on Redemption Island, you can't win either award. Because normally you'd be out of the game. So if you're on Redemption Island, if you're on the edge of extinction, you're not eligible, you're in purgatory. When you win your way back into the game, fine, you're eligible again. But if you're out on the Redemption Island, you can't win. So Stephanie, she isolated herself from the majority. She lost the challenge. Not going to give her Pulcher too much for it, but you know she did. Another thing, she and Krista both voted for Steve. If they were going to do a vote split, like 3-3 split, you might be, something smart might be just throw a vote on Krista and be like, tell Krista, let's vote for Steve, just to spite Steve. This is what Alex Angarita did in Fiji and got Mookie knocked out of the game instead of Alex. Throw your vote on Krista, tell Krista to vote for Steve, and just in case there was a split, Krista's gone, not you. So I don't like that she voted for Steve. There's a better move for her to do.
For my worst, I actually had Sarita. Now, beyond finally learning who Sarita is, everyone did kind of refer to her as the new de facto leader of this tribe. And that's not a good thing to be in the pre-merge. And especially with her decision to put Stephanie in the hero role when it seemed, they showed us some pre-planning and some strategizing before this challenge. People wanted Dave, and she went against it. Why are you sticking to your guns so hard on this, Sarita? People are going to be pretty annoyed with you, and we're going to not get a super cut, but something just shy of it, of people being pretty annoyed. This is going to leak into the next episode a little bit, but you still see it here. I have a dishonorable to Dave for being confrontational about it afterward, but ultimately people were siding with Dave in this feud, so I gave my tiebreaker to Sarita.
Interestingly enough, I gave mine to David.
I can see it.
Originally when I watched this. Now, I think I'll go with Sarita.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
So I'll side with Derek.
I do think like Dave was the most petty about it, but like everyone was on his team, so I'm almost going off of their reactions.
Yeah,
and
I was probably just giving my feeling on what I thought on it. So
Yeah. If everyone's agreeing with your pettiness, then I think you're okay.
it's okay.
I mean, that won Sandra her second title.
Episode 6, The Red-Headed Stepchild. In the previously on Survivor, Jeff tries to make it sound like the Zapatera tribe, ever since they threw that challenge to get Russell, they've had nothing but bad luck and been a mess. It's not true. Stop trying to make this narrative like a thing. They're not losing because of the curse of Russell Hands. This drives me nuts. It's like, no, this is a bunch of BS.
And there's no guarantee they would have won that challenge anyway. It's a weird way to try and frame something. And, I mean, I saw this last season when they gave Chase the old... I don't even know why, but they isolated him for an entire previously on Survivor and just said every mistake that Chase has made in the game for no reason.
You gotta justify his loss to Fabio.
Exactly. You know, so he's framing it. So when I saw this, I was like, why are we framing Zapatera as being, like, a hot mess? Like, you know, they're a little fractured, but they're not that bad.
No.
Like, they've had a pretty smooth game so far. So, yeah, they're inexperienced, but they're not this bad, Jeff.
Besides the challenge throw, like, as a group, their strategy has been sound.
Yeah. So it was another one of those out-of-place moments where I feel like on a meta level, I can look at this, or editology level, and say, oh, boy.
And I think it's honestly Jeff just trying to punish them for daring to throw a challenge and knock out Russell, because I don't think Jeff likes the challenge throw. So I think this is a punishment to the Zapatera tribe.
Which is fascinating that he wouldn't like the challenge though, just because it's something that the people decide to do.
Ethan Zahn, America's sweetheart, the nicest person to ever play Survivor, invented the challenge throw.
And that was a beautiful challenge throw, by the way. That was one of the good ones.
Yes. So stop trying to pretend like this is a new and a bad thing. It's not.
Seriously, thinking about Silas trying to solve that massive puzzle on his own is my favorite part about watching Redemption Island so far. just sitting here talking about idiotic challenge throws, making me think of a better moment in Survivor history.
Survivor Africa is the best part of Survivor Redemption Island.
Yes, true story.
Andrea, Natalie, and then Julie and Mike are attending the duel today, and that's going to defeat Krista. And we get a little bit of time on Redemption Island with these two. And they really bonded over religion. And Krista's going to gift Matt her Bible, her luxury item, because they were given once you get Redemption Island, you get your luxury item. And gives Matt the Bible. And Andrew sees this like, oh, see, Matt's bonding with another young blonde on this season. Maybe we weren't as close. And so, like, if he does return to the game, maybe I shouldn't work with him. Just something to keep in mind.
I can put myself in Andrea's shoes and see where she's coming from. But, like, come on. Matt's got nothing to do on Redemption Island. So, like, you're just going to talk with the other person who goes out there. Relax yourself.
All of these people are, like, 21.
Yeah.
Like, they are young.
Yeah, 21-year-old Derek was a moron.
They all assume it just means one specific thing.
Yeah. For any, like, 21-year-olds, young 20-year-olds listening to the podcast, yeah, you could probably be offended by what I just said. I stand by it. And you will, too, one day.
We always say... almost never act your age on Survivor.
Yeah.
And Andrea is acting her age a little bit in this moment.
Yes.
Now, does that bear any fruit? I don't know yet. But probably act like a 28 to 32-year-old.
Yeah, young 30s is like the sweet spot. Sarita complains a lot apparently. Apparently she's also a bit lazy. And apparently she's not very good in the challenges.
Yeah, high maintenance. Someone calls her like beauty queen or something like that.
Where was all this all season?
It's almost like the captains, particularly Rob, are being over-edited, and they're letting Philip hog the camera time, and so we don't know anybody on this season, and we don't care about what they do or don't do.
Who's Sarita?
Who is Sarita?
So, Steffi and David both want Sarita up next. And Steffi starts going on the apology tour, specifically with Steve, to apologize for voting for him last time, and like try and turn people against Sarita.
This scene, you know, good, but too little too late. You should have been doing this the second Russell got voted out.
Meanwhile, over at Amotepe, Philip gets pissed at Ashley and Natalie for doing no work. It's a big, dumb fight. And this is where we get Rob saying, like, I like that they don't do any work. It makes them unlikable.
And specifically, we're getting Philip barking orders at the women in particular. Just like, go get wood. I'm done with you. Go get wood. Go get firewood. Check the fire once an hour because I'm sick of doing this. I'm sick of it. And it's like, Philip, do you even know how to talk to a young person at all? No. The answer is no, he doesn't.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Now, I get why he's frustrated because everyone else does at least something. Like, the first time he asks, he's like, hey, everyone, can we get some wood because we got a storm coming? And everyone but Ashley and Natalie goes to get some wood. So that's what the blow-up starts. But Rob ends up telling Philip, like, hey, man, just calm down. We're going to focus on tribe unity. Just try to remember we're a tribe.
God, this is like Survivor Africa again.
Yeah.
You know, they're the young, inexperienced, aloof tribe. Like, yeah, a little structure is nice, but if you're on that aloof tribe, be aloof. It's fine. This
you might be miserable at some point because you don't have any firewood, but
let them learn their lesson. I know that you suffer a little bit for it, but tell you one thing, your social game won't suffer for it, and that's the most important thing if you're going for $1 million.
Hang out, crack jokes, don't take anything too seriously, and suffer with everyone else.
Suffer in the rain.
Let everyone make their mistakes, or keep your head down, shut up, and do it. And then people are grateful because they'll notice. But you have to do it while not isolating.
You might have like
yourself.
one person who's grateful. Yeah, you can get
one person.
You just have to not isolate yourself. There's a line to be walked here.
Are you saying Philip's not playing right?
I'm saying that Philip doesn't know how to walk on the edge of a knife. He doesn't even know how to walk straight down like a 2-lane highway. So Philip is not the right example here.
Ometepe destroys the immunity challenge thanks to Grant mostly.
This is the old JT Tooth Challenge.
Yeah, JT's Tooth Memorial Challenge.
Memorial Challenge, yeah.
Grant gets like 4 out of the 5 balls for his tribe. I think Rock gets the 5th one. But yeah, Grant, ex-NFL player.
Mike rips his shirt off. It's very, very photogenic. Oh, look at this man. This is literally Thor.
On the reward challenge, Grant finds out a clue, and he and Rob sneak off to go read it because they get taken on a little trip this time. And Philip spotted this whole thing because he's a former federal agent.
Yeah.
Did we mention that he's a former federal agent?
Oh no.
You can't get nothing by him.
And Philip's like, no, sorry guys, and they with their hands caught in the cookie jar. So now Philip doesn't really trust them as much anymore.
And with Philip, you gotta be careful.
But most importantly, most notably, and most unfortunately, this is the beginning of my least favorite alliance in Survivor history. Stealth are us.
The most iconic of all alliances.
Of all the Are Us alliances.
Take this crap back to Big Brother where it belongs. I don't want it. I hate it. Stealth are us. It's here. It's here to stay. And
Stealth are us in Big Brother?
No, Big Brother's famous for having all their stupid named alliances.
Oh.
And yeah.
Was this the first Are Us alliance?
First Are Us alliance, but it's just I hate Philip. But it's Grant, Rob, and Philip is Stealth Are Us, and each of them have a nickname, and I don't care at all. But that's Philip's shtick. I'm gonna give out some nicknames. Yeah, Grant is the Dominator.
You are the assassin. I don't know.
Rob is the mentalist. I'm the specialist, and we are Stealth Are Us.
And I remember it's just they tried to make it just so fun. The producers really just tried to buy into it. And I think it's fresh and it's new and it's okay, this can be fun, but then it just keeps going and going and going.
I hate it.
Well, and what's crazy is I'm not even sure how this created an alliance. So Philip catches Boss and Rob and Grant showing their whole booties, and it's one of the few times that I think Rob makes the wrong move this season because they're kind of it's pretty auspicious, right? They're not hiding, but they're going to go off and read this clue. Philip could have come up the balcony, and they could have been like, Philip, come here.
Yeah.
We didn't want it to be obvious by all 3 of us walking away to go look out the view. We were going to tell you later. So, but as long as you're here, look, we found this clue.
Yeah.
So Rob kind of does lose his composure a little bit there. But, how did this become this alliance? The knowledge of this clue somehow, at least for Philip, formed the Stealth Are Us alliance, and I'm just not sure how that materialized how it did. It's the weirdest thing.
I hate it. I hate all of it. Let's go to Tribal Council. Because I'm bored by all of this. Tribal Council. It's between Sarita and Stephanie. The entire time, Sarita gets completely dunked on by David and Stephanie, who want her out of the game, but everyone else is Sarita's loyal. 5 votes Stephanie, 2 votes Sarita. This is the right move.
Yeah, I think I think at this point, you just got to cut the X Factor out. And the fact that Stephanie's trying finally to do some damage control, it's too little too late. We kind of skimmed over it. Dave was the one who also voted for Sarita and sort of coached Stephanie into like, hey, go talk to everyone, talk to Steve first. I'm trying to help you out here because Dave is adamant that Sarita needs to go next because she's useless and at least Stephanie cares.
He doesn't like Sarita at all.
He does not like Sarita at all. So I do agree that it's the right move for the most number of people, but there's still a notable aspect that we didn't talk about yet.
Yeah, I also agreed.
Best player. Who you got for best player, Derek?
So I actually had Grant as the best player because, first of all, he beasted the immunity challenge and kept the Ometepe run going. He let Philip dig his own grave along with Rob when the two girls weren't helping around at camp. And I feel like Rob lost more of Philip's trust with the clue than Grant did, and Grant was able to play it off a little bit better. And he finds himself in a new alliance of 3. All things put together, I think that he just edges out, like, for example, Rob for another one, but there's not a lot of other great gameplay this episode, so I've got Grant.
There wasn't much in this episode. I gave it to Steve just because he had that nice moment making up with Stephanie, but still voted her out.
Yeah, you can tell that either there wasn't a lot going on or I was just like too bored. I had no one as the best. So there's my point of view. If I had to choose, I guess, between one, seems like Grant would be a good way to go. So
I was so excited not to give it to Rob. I was so excited.
How about worst player?
So I actually had Philip for digging his own grave. He continues to annoy everyone around the camp and gets bossy and gets called out for being a little bit of a misogynist. And then it has all the subtlety of a drunken rhinoceros in a china shop when he's like, I saw you because I'm a former federal agent, and now guess what? We're all in an alliance together because I say so. There's a really good argument for Dave for voting for Sarita and almost planting his flag on this hill, but Philip, he managed to surprise me yet further in this episode, so I gave it to Philip.
I gave it to Sarita just because she's lazy, annoying, and bad at challenges.
The reason I didn't is because even though they say it, we didn't see it. I didn't even consider her when writing down my notes. So if Josh also said Sarita, I wouldn't blame him for that. She's just a big nothing.
Yeah.
I actually said David.
All right.
Yeah, which was your kind of dishonorable mention. So that's interesting. I think I would go with Sarita, though.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
If you said any of them, I'd be like, that's fine.
Yeah, fine.
Philip is ungradable. It can be Sarita. I don't care.
Moving on.
Yeah, basically what I'm guessing is none of us care that much here.
I'm assuming my reasoning is more that Philip made it into an alliance, I guess.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, with Dave. Dave voted for Sarita, and really, he kind of blew up at Tribal at her a little bit, too. He was very much, no, we need to get Sarita out of here. She's ridiculous. I'm like, Dave, why are you talking? Why are you still talking?
Dave, stop.
Mine and Derek's winner pick.
My winner pick. Looking great, guys.
All right, last episode of the pre-merge, episode 7. It don't take a smart one. Don't take a smart one to talk about.
True that.
Yeah. So back at camp for Zapatera, David just is like, no one. David, I don't trust or like Sarita.
I trust the 6. I don't trust Sarita.
Thanks.
What?
Thanks, David.
That means you trust the 5, but the 4.
He also starts being kind of bossy and just annoying everyone. Dave, no, you're doing the wrong things.
And doesn't he even say something to the camera like, if that's the death of me, well then so be it. I did what I wanted.
That's not how to win Survivor.
That's the wrong attitude. I mean, yeah.
Attorneys, let me tell you.
Do we need to consult on this? No.
We might need to hire a lawyer.
Dave, big fan of the podcast. This was a really bad move, buddy. We love you.
Honestly, I bet he would probably say, yeah, you're probably right. So Philip, we got the Redemption Island duel. Philip, everyone's gone at this point. Philip wants to volunteer to go because if they can do a random draw or anyone can volunteer. Philip wants to go to the duel. So Rob's like, crap, I gotta go with and babysit. So he's like, hey, Philip, can I go with you? And yeah, let's go. Great. And I was like, cool, I gotta go do some damage control today.
And by the way, this was more evidence to me that even though it has not been spoken into existence, this buddy system thing is something that is top of mind for Rob because he actually uses the words like babysit. Philip will not keep his mouth shut if I am not there. And I suspect that he is going to start campaigning against me. So he's like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go.
And this is where you start to get a little bit into that. We're approaching the merge here. You're going to start thinking about who you can bring to the end and who you can beat. But you need to also think about who is going to be a detriment to you making it to the end. And that is something that I think way too many people overlook on their path to the end, and it can bury them so easily.
Abby Maria. The Abby Maria factor. David and Ralph are going to go to, and Matt's going to defeat Stephanie, knock Stephanie out of the game. Stephanie is going to be on the ballot to play for Cambodia Survivor Second Chance. So for those of you who don't know, it's been a long time since we mentioned this, but there was a ballot of like 32 castaways, and 10 men and 10 women were going to get voted on, and we all got to vote. And I can't remember if you guys voted or not, but I voted.
I did not vote, but I remember you talking to me about it. I didn't vote because I didn't know enough of them.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
So when we get to Cambodia, that season we'll talk about who we would have voted for.
Yeah, I'm excited to revisit this ballot. I think about it every once in a while.
I knew like a handful, and that's it.
And I was so pumped out of my mind because there's some really old school players. So we'll talk about like who we would have voted for. But so since Stephanie was on that ballot, did not get voted on to play again, would you guys have been interested in seeing Stephanie play on that season?
She's the only thing that's interesting on this season. Even with Boston Rob being here, I've seen so much of him, I'm kind of bored. Mm-hmm. This is called Survivor, not Boston Rob's Island. So being that she was one shining spot, personality-wise, on a season of absolute drawls, I'll have her again. I would likely defer to someone who was a better player on a more likable cast on a better season. But if I saw her again, I'd be like, you know what? If you had to pick someone from 22, yeah.
I'd be okay seeing her again, but she's probably not someone that I would vote for.
I think it's exactly how I feel. I did not vote for her. And I didn't really remember her, to be honest. I was like, I think she was on Redemption Island. I don't really remember her that well. And then in the rewatch, like, I've kind of come around on stuff. Like, she was kind of fun. She's okay.
I remember really liking her my first, watching this season. But, I mean, it's hard not to, and she's one of the only likable.
I mean, I think...
Or not even likable, but people who stand out.
Going into Cambodia, I would have put her above Kelly Wentworth.
Fair enough at that point. The fans got that one right. But that was Kelly's fault. Kelly's doing... She campaigned harder than anybody to get a second chance. And you know what? The fruits of her labor will pay off.
Yes.
But we'll talk about that later.
Yes, we will. But Stephanie's not bad. I like her. I'd be fine with her coming back.
Sure.
Philip asks Rob on the way back to camp, should we withhold this information? Rob says, no, we're not going to play like that. I don't play that way. We don't play like that. Immediately tattles on to the rest of the tribe, like, yeah, Philip wanted to hide all this information.
Perfect thing to... he played this perfectly.
Yeah, 100%.
Perfect execution. He said the right thing to Philip, and went and completely ignored it immediately.
Well, he almost didn't ignore it, because he told them everything, and then told them a little bit more. He just didn't keep Philip's secret.
Nope.
Yeah.
He was just like, no, this is just more ammo, and I'm just going to keep making everyone be pissed off at Philip, because then people will want to get rid of Philip before me. It's a great strategy. So Rob never actually lied. He's like, no, we're going to tell him everything, and then Philip walks away, and he's like, and by the way, that's with a capital E.
Everything.
Philip wants me to lie to you guys, and I'm not going to do that.
Ashley, Natalie, and Philip get into a fight about the rice, because apparently the crispy rice at the bottom of the pot.
I want some of the crispy. Get
That's
the crispy,
Rob's
man.
favorite. Rob is famously a picky eater. He only likes the crispy rice. And they're like, oh, we gotta save that for Rob, because it's the only one Rob likes. Philip's like, well, I want some of the crispy rice. The crispy rice is the best. Can I have some? Like, well, no, we're gonna save that for Rob. That's not okay. We gotta save it for Rob. And it really reminds me, I don't know how many people who listen to this podcast and watch Community, but there is an episode, well, more than one episode, where Alison Brie's character, Annie, goes nuts and kind of joins like culty behavior going on, whether it's with like Abed starting a mafia family, or the dean becoming an insanely abusive commercial director,
Or the Glee Club.
The Glee Club, and Annie dives in head first to become like the assistant to the leader. And if anybody says anything bad with the leader, she's like, that's okay, we gotta talk to the leader about that. We can't make any decision with the leader. And so Natalie gives me strong Annie from Community vibes. And it's like, we can't talk to Rob, that's Rob's decision. We gotta talk to Rob about that. And did Rob leave the okay? Did Rob invent this? Because if not, I don't care.
Find yourself an alliance member who will stand up for your crispy the way that Natalie stands up for Rob's crispy,
Yep.
It's weird how much this stands out to me. Like, I vividly remember this because it just seems so insane to me that it's like, Holy crap! It is a cult.
Yeah.
Well,
it is.
Yeah.
And Philip has already spiraled out of our existing space-time. He's spiraling tailspin out of control in the 5th dimension. And so you've got this 52-year-old man standing hands on hips at camp in front of the camera going, I am 52 years old, damn it. If I want some crispy, I should get some crispy. In any other societal situation, I would be the patriarch. I would be the one that everyone's bending over backward to please, but no one's going to do that. I just want some crispy. I'm like, what am I watching?
And he's standing there, and we haven't mentioned, Philip just always is wearing these, like, fuchsia briefs. That's all he ever wears. He's standing there in his fuchsia briefs yelling at Ashley and Natalie. Natalie's only 19. But to be fair, Philip is right.
He's right.
Philip is 100% right. Why does Rob get the best food? This is a fair point. Now, you shouldn't bring that up on Survivor. Say to the confessional, like, what is going on? This place is a cult. You don't yell at Ashley and Natalie. Or you just take some if you want. If you really want, you don't need to ask permission. You just, like, take some. Like, I want some.
It's the banana theory.
Yeah. Would you like a
Would
banana?
you like a banana? Would you like some crispy?
The other thing is, like, for all the things that Philip gets wrong, this is what social capital buys you. If you ask for a spoonful of crispy, because all he wanted was one spoonful of crispy, and they're like, absolutely not. go disappear, evaporate, tall person. But like, if you've burned all your social capital, you have none. Your dry powder is spent. You don't get the crispy.
You can get the crispy. You just don't ask for it. You just take it and you don't cause any conflict. Sure, they can talk about you behind your back and you really shouldn't be involved in this at all. But he did the worst thing when instead he could have just walked up, gotten a spoonful, just a spoonful, and eaten it. No conflict. You don't ask for permission or ask for forgiveness. You just do it. It's a little bit of rice.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. No one's going to vote you out for that, especially Philip. We've gone way too far past that. Philip, just take the rice.
If this was episode 1, I'd say no.
Yeah. But that would have literally no effect, and it's better than what he did. It's wild. Omatep is going to win immunity one more time. Boy, that challenge throw, yeah, it didn't, like, curse the tribe, but yeah, it was a little too early, I think we've realized.
Yeah.
So the Omatep tribe gets to go and reward to a volcano. And while they're there, Rob finds the idol clue. He doesn't need an idol clue. This is just garbage to him. So he tosses it into the volcano.
He tosses it into an active volcano with a big smile on his face. I got the idol. I don't even need this. Whips it backward, no look, 360. And then in the camera, you can see the little clue spiral into oblivion.
The one ring, the 2 old one. Gollum jumps in after it.
Yeah, and I think you're definitely not supposed to do this.
Oh, definitely not. Iconic confessional.
I wonder if they got in trouble from, like, the Nicaraguan government.
They sent a PA down to get it.
Potential frontrunner for most memorable moment of the pre-merge.
Mm-hmm. Throwing a clue into the volcano. So, David or Sarita is going home. And the toss-up is David was great in the challenge. Sarita was not. Sarita is trustworthy. David is not. Okay, seems pretty simple to me. You voted David. Merge is coming up. Keep the person you trust who isn't going to flip. Right? Makes sense?
Yep.
Cool. So, David.
It's fair enough at this point.
Nope. It's going to be 4 votes Sarita, 2 votes for David. Ralph just doesn't really like David, so he joins Sarita to vote for David, but everyone else gets rid of Sarita because she's weaker than David. It's about merge o'clock here, folks. This is a terrible move. Should be David.
And we've seen this before, where people are so worried about, winning the next challenge, going into the merge. It's like, okay, but the merge is gonna be here, either this vote or the next vote, so come on.
And on the podcast, we are advocates for, in the early game, if you've got nothing else, try and keep around the people who are better challenge performers, because going into a merge with numbers historically is the best indicator of success. And I think that is still true, even in 42.
It can be.
And that's where it's like you're just giving yourself more opportunities,
more
avenues.
More importantly is having the tightest, most cohesive group possible.
Yes.
That's keeping Sarita, not David.
Yes. So, like, no matter how you slice it, I think this is the wrong move. David might be better in challenges, but you know that a merge is right around the corner. Or at least you would if you weren't entirely recruits from California.
Yes. I could have any of them seen this show before.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I'm not so sure, to be perfectly frank. I'm trying to think, are there any like real big Survivor fans this season? I believe Christina,
Yep.
Andrea,
And
that might be it.
Well, and I think Dave, because Dave also wanted Russell gone immediately, so at least he spoke about like
Honestly,
game
they
stuff.
were probably all given a copy of like maybe Samoan Heroes versus Villains to watch ahead of time because they were all given at least a season of Survivor to watch. So I'm sure they've all seen at least a season or two. But besides the assigned homework before you go out of the season, it might just be Christina and Andrea. It honestly might be.
Crazy.
Best player, Boston Rob, for babysitting Philip, throwing him under the bus later on, and throwing the clue into the volcano, preventing anyone else from getting it.
I had Rob.
It should be Rob. For some reason, I put David, probably just because he survived. He should have been going home. So originally, I did say David. Rob is probably the way to go, though.
It is the way to go.
Yes.
Because my worst player is David.
And my worst player is also David.
What? My worst was Philip, so...
So David lashed out at Sarita for no real reason. He had a general bad attitude that he really should have gone home if anyone was smart.
People were vocalizing that he was the less trustworthy one, and that's what even throws him down below Philip complaining about the crispy.
Yeah.
Which, dishonorable mention to Philip, I guess, from here on to forever, because he whines about crispy.
And honestly does honorable mention to Natalie as well for like arguing about the crispy.
Being in a cult.
Cults
are bad.
bad. Don't join cults.
Rule 34.
This isn't even the cult season of Survivor. That's later.
It's the precursor. This is the transitionary season where we get into eventually cult.
This is the cult era.
The cult era of Survivor.
So did you have Philip as your worst?
I did, but, I'll concede since you guys have seen it more recent.
Dang right, you will.
Also, democracy.
Also democracy.
Yeah, 2 out of 3.
2v1.
So that's the end of the pre-merge. We have our 11 people left.
We made it.
We have Matt and Sarita on Redemption Island, so spoiler alert, next time the episode's to start, we're going to go to Redemption Island. One of those two is going to come back into the game. One's going to be out. So, those two are still kind of in purgatory, so they're not really super relevant for, like, new winner picks, best and worst pre-merge, stuff like that. But let's do that now. Who would our new winner picks be? We're stuck. You two have David still, and I have Rob. I'm going to stick with Rob and see how this goes for me. I would not change. How about you guys? Derek?
I'd 100% switch to Rob.
Okay.
There's absolutely no question. He's a returning player, he has a cult, and he has an idol. And Zapatero looks to be a hot mess. They're voting out trustworthy people for paranoid self-sabotagers or self-saboteurs. So, yeah, I'm going to switch to the only person who seems to have a clue and the talent for moving the pieces. And that's Rob.
When I first watched this, I said that I would have switched to Rob, and I stand by that.
Yeah, that's fair. One of two people with an edit.
I even put in parentheses, no reason.
Let's get the best and worst player of the pre-merge. So, reminder, only people who make the merge count. So anyone who has voted out pre-merge, and that includes Matt and Sarita at this point, they're not eligible for best and worst player of the pre-merge, so we have 11 people to choose from. Derek, who's your best player on the pre-merge?
Oh, it's Boston Rob, and this is so stupidly not close that I don't even have anything else to say. But you know what? Honorable mention to Matt anyway, even though it breaks the rules. I love that dude got voted out second, and he has beasted all of these solo challenges, and then just keeps heading back to redemption all alone, and still alive. And he got a Bible, a free Bible on it.
There you go.
So I know that he couldn't win, but like, we deserve to talk about him a little bit.
He's still here.
It's impressive.
It is impressive. I also said, Rob, I want to point out there's been 7 best players of the episodes we've given out, 7 worst players of the episode. Rob won 5 out of the 7 as far as I'm concerned.
And 6 out of the 7 for me, I think.
That's the most that anyone has ever done in a pre-merge.
I mean, originally I only gave him 3, but I know I conceded a couple here, so yeah.
So, it's Rob.
It's Rob.
Enough said.
I'm not going to add anything because we talked about it enough.
Worst player of the pre-merge.
Former federal agent, Philip. And again, this isn't even close. You can maybe make an argument for David having a late pre-merge slide and having more ability in choosing not to use it. But he's an attorney. He can't help himself. You'd think that a former federal agent would have a little bit more self-awareness, but he does not. You know, those government jobs, stressful.
Another great confession from Rob. Yeah, it's Philip. He's the worst.
It's not even close. It's Philip.
Cool.
This was probably the easiest, even pre or post for both the best and the worst. It's just easy.
Yeah, 2
Let's go.
easy choices. We've had times where it's been one clear one, and maybe there's a little bit more conversation for the other award, but not this time. It's both. We're done.
I don't even know who would get second place, and it does not matter.
It's like a tie.
Well, this is honestly a good tie-in.
6-way tie.
Because, like, you know, this is typically the part of the podcast where it's like, is there anything else worth really mentioning?
Yeah, thoughts so far? Anything else going into the merge?
I've got nothing for the weather, but I did.
Give me the weather report. Yeah, that's fair.
I got nothing for Jeff Watch. It's usually end of season, but I really got nothing for that either. I actually made a list of every single thing that we have learned in the pre-merge of Redemption Island. There are only 5 bullet points.
All right, well, let's go. What do you got?
We know that Boston Rob does not like duos in Survivor because he's been in a duo. We know that a clue is at every reward, and we're going to talk about it. We're pretty sure that Philip was, in fact, a special agent.
Question mark, though.
We know that Andrea liked Matt, but we're not so sure anymore. And we also know that Ralph is not book smart. That is officially everything that we know. Also, and I didn't write this down, but attorneys are not good at Survivor.
We already knew that, but this is more proof.
Yeah, this is further evidence that attorneys are not good at Survivor. 2 of our 3 are out, and our 3rd one is teetering on a very thin edge. So that's literally all we know. Before we even started the podcast, I was like, I don't even think I can name everybody. I've seen the whole pre-merge, and I literally forgot Mike existed, because all we saw him do was get manhandled by Grant during the JT Memorial Challenge.
He was with Ralph, and they confronted Russell.
Yep, but he's done nothing. Natalie and Ashley, I honestly couldn't tell you which one is which. I really couldn't. Sarita was missing in action. Ralph, even though you know he's not boring, we don't see him. He doesn't exist. He's just this mythical creature that found the idol on day 1 and then confronted Russell, and then we forgot about him. This might be the worst edited pre-merge so far. And there was a different one that we complained about a lot. Was it Samoa?
Samoa.
I think Samoa is the second worst, but this one is so horrendously boring and unidirectional and uninteresting with a weak cast. I think this is the worst edit for a pre-merge so far. So
I'll sign off on that.
That's completely fair.
That's all I got. This is just horrendous.
Can't wait to rank this next time.
Like, I love Boston Rob as a player. I do, but come on.
Tone it down.
There are 18 people who started here.
All we have left is the most memorable moment of the season.
Yeah,
our
guys.
memorability consultant, Josh Wessler. Josh, the hardest job you've ever had, potentially.
Trying to find something memorable from the season.
In the pre-merge, what is the most memorable moment of Survivor Redemption Island?
Honorable mention to Philip's briefs.
Yep.
But that's not a moment. That's just them being there. I'm going to say the 2 finalists that I have, and you guys can chime in if there's another one that I can't remember. But the first travel when Philip blows up, basically, just kind of just goes AWOL, and it's just, sorry, Christina, but not sorry. So there's that. And then it's the Rob Idol clue chucked into the volcano.
My nomination would be Russell's loss at the duel and like him crying on his way out the door. That'd probably be the thing I think of most.
Literally the only thing that I care of any note, and the only thing I messaged you guys about with any excitement was Rob throwing a clue into an active volcano.
It's true.
That is literally the only time I think I messaged you guys with any kind of jovial attitude or happiness. So there's my nomination. I refuse to give a second one.
I do remember Russell crying, so that was memorable. But I'm gonna give it to Rob, just flinging it into over his shoulder, like he would a shot that you don't want at a bar into the volcano.
Rob yeeting a clue into a volcano is the most memorable moment of the pre-merge.
And it sounds so much more cool than it was.
It was so it just kind of happened. It was like what?
What? That's clue in a volcano?
Okay. Sure.
That's what we got. That's what we got.
We're working with what we have.
So that's the end of the pre-merge. Next time, unfortunately, will be the post-merge of Survivor Redemption Island.
So jazzed.
So we'll see how that goes, and yeah. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at Castaway Pod and on TikTok, and what else do we got?
Twitter,
Instagram,
yeah,
YouTube,
Castaway Consultants, yay,
everywhere.
Yeah, follow us on all those places. All of it is more exciting than Survivor Redemption Island. Anything else, guys?
No, I'm good.
All right, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.